I'm Goldie Metcalf,
And I'm Charlie Naughton.
and this is Midnight in Baghdad, episode 40. Welcome. We are back after, 2 weeks, as promised, in July.
Yep.
It's absolutely great to hear you from you. How's your few weeks been, Charlie? Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything's good. Lockdown being eased, so it's a bit of a strange feeling. Do you get that when you walk out? You're watching to see who has the virus.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it. You know, I've been out for a good bit of it, and it's certainly different. Things are kind of coming back to normal, which is good. And hopefully, we're going to hear about that in our show tonight. We're going to be talking about some of the weird and strange stories from around the world. I'm feeling a very sexual week. Charlie, are you?
Yes, but why are you feeling very sexual?
I just feel that, I kind of struggle to find.
Your missus
I think the last show that we did, it was a lot of new cool news, which was great after COVID. But now I looked, and it's getting harder and harder, and everything is sexual in the news at the moment. And a lot of my stories are based around sex.
Really?
So it's going to be an interesting show.
That.
And I thought,
you're right though. The news is very much like, even 2 weeks ago when you check something out in the news, you had to trawl through loads of COVID stories.
Yes.
Now you don't so much. Yeah. But
yeah,
I didn't pick up on the sex stuff. No.
Okay. Well, I thought last week we had a bit of a synergy, let's say, last week. So we'll see. It'll be interesting if it plays out. What have you got for us? Let's kick it off. Let's not waste any time. Obviously, later on in the show, we're going to be doing a little bit of entertainment update and kind of to unwind from the realities. But talk to me about the stories you've come across this last few weeks.
Okay. My first one is COVID related because it strikes me as funny, crazy. I don't know if you've heard about this, Goldie. There's a famous televangelist in America. Now, when I say famous, he's not famous to me. I'd never heard of him, but he's been around for 30 years.
Is this like the Eddie Murphy show? Is this one of the Eddie Murphys? Where he's
Eddie Murphy's an actor.
The movie. Yeah, I know, but the movie he does where he's like a healer and he makes a lot of money. He's a con artist, though.
But he actually turns out to have healing power. Doesn't it? Isn't that it?
Something like that, yeah. Is it Eddie Murphy or is it Steve Martin?
That's Steve
maybe?
Martin. That's Steve Martin. It's a natural mistake to make.
No, it is, because they're both comedy geniuses for their time, and they started some amazing comedy shows. So why, you could easily mistake them
for their time. Did you ever hear or see the interview with Samuel L. Jackson when he was promoting the last Avengers movie, and some guy, the TV news anchor, said, "How did it feel to be at the what do they call that? You're big into the American football. What's the big thing every year? The
Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. How did it feel to be performing on the Super Bowl?" And Samuel L. Jackson's like, "I didn't perform in the Super Bowl." And then the penny drops for Samuel L. Jackson. He says, "You're thinking of the guy from The Matrix. What's his name?
Keanu Reeves."
No. Both equally great actors of their generation, absolutely. For that time.
Yeah, no, definitely they are.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, so that was good. And he turns out to be a real healer. But I've never watched these televangelists, but I've seen clips of them, and they're always shouting and it's really intense. I don't know why they're so popular, but this guy has been popular.
Lawrence Fishburne
is not a televangelist. He's an actor.
Yeah, he's the one in the
fighting the robots. Yeah, no, that's actually true. Yes. Yeah. So the guy mistook Samuel L. Jackson for Lawrence Fishburne. Okay. In fairness, Jackson took it well. He wasn't he was obviously pissed off, but he didn't show it too much. I suppose he's on live TV. Did you?
It's interesting.
Yeah, and I'm thinking there was another example about a year ago.
Is that your story?
An Everton footballer. No. This is what I like, the tangents. An Everton footballer was sold, and they put the wrong picture in the Star on the back page. They put a different black man on the back picture.
You're joking.
Yeah, which is terrible.
And that's at a time.
In fairness, this is a year ago.
Or so before it all kicked off, I suppose. Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest
Still,
with this
it's
one.
the connotations of that, though. The fact that they've sold them and everything is
It's
ridiculous,
terrible.
Yeah.
That they sold him.
Yeah, you can't.
He would have got. Yeah, he would have got some money for that though as well. Like he.
Yeah.
Are you implying the area we can't go? I'll go back to the televangelist, will I?
Yeah, that's what we're getting to, isn't it?
Yeah. So this guy's name is Jim Bakker, Bakker, right? Mm-hmm. So last month on his like weekly Sunday show or whatever, he was interviewing. Now put interview in air brackets because obviously the whole thing is a setup. He was interviewing a guy called Cheryl Selman, and Cheryl Selman was promoting this bottle, and he was introduced as a natural health expert. And I think you know where I'm going to go with this, do you?
No, go on.
No, okay. Well, I said it was COVID related.
So you had COVID?
No, he had the cure for COVID in this bottle.
Okay.
A blue and silver bottle. And Jim Bakker was saying, so you're telling me this is a cure for COVID-19? And the guy goes on air and says, well, let's say, right, so this bottle is being sold as a cure for
and he's doing this
COVID-19.
live on TV?
Live on TV. Now, I have the quote that the guy said. This is priceless. Well, let's say it hasn't been tested on the coronavirus, but it has been tested on other strains of coronavirus and has been able to eliminate it within 12 hours. So he's selling a product. Unbelievable, isn't it?
It's crazy.
To have the balls to get up and say that. But it gets worse. He went on to say, it has been proven by the government that it has the ability to kill every pathogen it has ever been tested on, including SARS and HIV.
For fuck's
So there's been a cure for HIV out there for years that none of us knew about. So anyway, and while the guy was saying this, on the bottom of the screen, you could an offer comes up. 4 of these 4-ounce bottles could be yours for just $80. And the sad thing is...
But wait, there's more. There's always more, though.
What?
Is there more than that, though? Like, because to
the story, there is, yeah.
No, to what they're selling. You've already sold me. But I'm like, you know what I mean? You just want to push me over the edge now. So, but wait, there's more. You will also get for today only, a free couch, this kind of stuff, like,
Yeah. There was a couple selling tickets to heaven, genuinely, about 6 months ago. I remember making it, noting it down as a news article that we could have discussed.
Really?
Like, how do you even do that? But
I don't know.
The sad thing is, Goldie, loads of people bought it. Okay,
right,
loads.
So they bought. So basically, just what these people are buying is a tablet that kills HIV,
it's a liquid,
or a drink that kills HIV, the coronavirus, and SARS.
Well,
and this
hasn't been tested on the coronavirus, as they admitted themselves.
But how many people
are
actually
selling
bought
it to cure the corona? I don't have the numbers, but they sold enough so that the Missouri state actually had to take this guy to court. But first of all, this solution is called the silver solution. Now, why do you think it was called the silver solution?
You'd have to immediately think the silver bullet, a werewolf type thing. Is it? Are they saying it's related to wolves?
Well, that's a very good point. I don't.
And
silver doesn't kill the coronavirus. Silver just kills werewolves. Now, what else might you think of for silver?
Every cloud has a silver lining.
very, very nice. No, don't worry. Most people who are dying from the coronavirus are obviously grey-haired, older people, and most people who I'd imagine watch these televangelist shows, are older people.
You're reading a lot into that there, but okay.
Well, they called it the silver solution. So there must be a reason why they called it the silver solution. And I would have thought it's silver. That's why I pointed out earlier it was a blue bottle. So anyway, it's a sad story. It's funny because, like, who the hell in this day and age where, like, every time you go on the internet, you see, like, click, your number has been selected randomly for this or whatever.
Yeah.
And surely nobody falls for that anymore. But if we keep getting these ads every time we go online, there's at least one person a day who clicks and, swallows
and
this.
it's worth their while. It's amazing the gullibility of people, and it is, as you say, not to be ageist or anything, but it is obviously the older people would be the ones that are necessarily not up to speed or fully, up with technology and stuff like that, and they're vulnerable prey, I suppose, for these type of people. I wonder, is that something that we're going to see? We'll get rid of that, like in the next 20, 30 years. Will that actually?
The elderly.
Yeah, will that not be a thing, or will we still fall for stuff? Because fraud
It'll
just
be
evolves,
new stuff we'll fall for. Yeah,
exactly.
On my ex-father-in-law and
your ex-father-in-law.
Yeah. Well, I suppose he's still my father-in-law, but they
have
a
of
house
course,
phone.
yeah. They have a house phone.
And on the house phone, in big printed, like the way you'd write on an A4 sheet of paper and you'd sellotape it, and printed so covering the dial buttons, so they can't use the house phone anymore unless they take off this A4 sheet of paper that's been sellotaped over the the 9 dial buttons. Is Dad, if you do not know who this person is, hang up the phone immediately. So my father-in-law is 89 and he's having difficulty recognizing people and so on. So his family have had to put up that big sign on the phone. If you don't know who is on the phone, hang up. Because I suppose they're ringing these people, and...
Oh, no, I get it. Anyway, but I must say, like, I'd be like, fuck that. I'd have a different attitude. I'd be like, if I'm in that stage of my life where I don't know who is going to be on the phone, or I'm vulnerable to cons and whatever. If I'm if my mind is in that state, the first thing I'm going to think of if I approach the phone and all of a sudden, for the first time to me, some cunt has written something over the fucking handle, I'd be like, what fucking asshole is after doing this? Do you know what I mean? That would be my reaction, and I just rip the fucking thing up, or I'd fucking WhatsApp the group and say, look what the fuck some fucking idiot put on my phone. I'm not really gonna pay any regard to it whatsoever. Like, you know what I mean?
Just as a kind of protest.
Yeah, it would annoy me. Like, what fucking idiot wrote something? Yeah.
Do you know, if I was old, I probably would take the same approach. But it's if someone who didn't know me is ringing me, I'm going to keep them on the phone for as long as I can, because I'll probably be lonely. If you're elderly, you don't have that many visitors. Yeah. So. But anyway,
listen, I've had it with my mother as well. Like they are falling for this kind of stuff. I just hope.
Well, your mother isn't elderly. I wouldn't consider your mother elderly.
Well, she's, of a couple of generations ago.
What age would you consider elderly?
You see, it's weird when you ask me that, because I'm actually, it's my birthday in a couple of weeks, and
oh, is it? Happy birthday, Goldie!
Thanks very much. And I was, thanks very much.
I'll get you something. But no, if the lockdown,
and I appreciate it.
I won't be able to get you.
Maybe you can send me the fucking subscription fee. You can send me the fucking subscription fee for the podcast. You cunt.
I sent you that. I sent you that this morning. Morning. Are you joking?
What, a postal order, was it? No, but like,
I used to think when I was young and people, the way in the movies say, I've wired you that money. Yeah. That used to wreck my head as a kid. I actually thought they were physically. Yeah, because they said I wired you the money.
You were never the
problem
brightest.
With me.
Like, you were never the brightest.
I think I was very bright, and I probably overthought it. That's probably it. I think
book smart. You're a book smart. You're a book smart.
Book smart.
But sorry, what was your question again?
You're street smart, are you?
Well, I'm in the border. I have a foot in each zone. But come on, tell me what's the question again?
About what? Oh, what age would you consider old if you had to put a numerical figure on it?
Oh yeah, like that's the thing. So it says to me, I feel like I'm getting older, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! In 20 years, I'm going to be like nearly hitting 60, and it's like I think of the last 20 years, and I'm like, oh my God, that flew in. Do you know what I mean? And I'm starting to fucking worry about it. So I would have. Initially, I want to say 60s. You kind of start thinking of somebody old. But
okay.
I'm actually not too far away from that, and that's the scary part. So maybe we need to be thinking 70s or 80s now for old people, do we?
I would think 80. I would consider old. Yeah, I don't think you're an old person. Yeah,
you're optimistic. Like yeah. And it's mad because you see, I'm starting to experience it now, and I can see a lot more when you look at your parents or older people or whatever, and you can see the difference in being old. Like the body's old, but the mind isn't. The mind still is that 20-year-old, wants to have the crack and wants to get up to mischief stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but the body's just not able for it.
I mean, your body or the body of an 80-year-old or whatever?
No, but I think people who are lucky enough to have their minds don't feel they're that old. Like, they can obviously feel that old because their body's old, but their brain is like, Jesus Christ, how did I get here? I'm not this old. You know, that kind of way.
But do you find that even with yourself? So you're saying,
and that's what I'm saying. I'm starting to experience that a little bit. Like, you know, you start noticing things. Do you know, and things aren't moving fucking right, or you get a little creak here, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, like. You know, you start to feel the body, like, you know. Maybe I should look after myself. Do
you also feel that your mind, based on what you're saying, do you also feel that your mind isn't in its late 30s?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know, like, I need to, like, how did this happen? You know, that kind of way. Like, I'm not this. I don't like. I'm younger than this. Like, you know, young at heart. I suppose. Did
you ever think how the hell do I have kids? How the hell do I have a mortgage? All that stuff.
Oh, no, not to that much. No, I don't know. It's hard to go into detail about it, but it's young at heart. If you know the song, the very famous song, "Young at Heart," and that's what I feel. Young at heart.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah. So go on anyway. Continue on.
Okay. So that's it. The poor guy. Not the poor guy. The guy made a fortune out of it. Jim Bakker. So he's been sued because a state basically had to sue him. So you're not allowed, apparently in Missouri, I presume in other American states as well, it is illegal to claim you have a cure for the coronavirus. That was written into the statute recently. So the Missouri state filed a lawsuit against him. Now, I have two questions about this. I don't know the answers to these. And my first question is why is he being sued as opposed to being, like, let's say, arrested for, you know, a criminal charge?
Well, it could be just very simply that it's not a criminal offense. Like, there's lots
of different... in the law book that you cannot sell it, you know, that you cannot.
Yeah, but there's lots of stuff that's like, you've got criminal law, and then you've got civil law, and then you've got, like, council laws and bylaws and Dublin city laws and Baghdad city laws, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is other things that may not necessarily be criminal, but are actually illegal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And you know, the sad truth about this goalie, there was tagged on at the end of the article, it's like, it said, Ted Bakker has already spent many years in prison for defrauding his viewers out of millions of dollars. So he already is a proven fake who has already been found guilty of fraud.
And he was allowed back again.
And he was allowed back into this. You know, it's just
is that what that movie is? Is that what is that movie based on him? Like, what year did this happen?
I'm sure Goldie, there's loads of people like that.
Plus, no, absolutely.
Eddie Murphy, black. This guy is white. Ted Bakker is white because they had a picture of him. He's quite old himself.
Yeah, no, we figure it's Steve Martin. It was Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, sorry,
not Eddie Murphy. But two fantastic comedians for their generation.
Are you thinking of Eddie Murphy in Trading Places? You know the way he was faking that?
Yes, fantastic. It's kind of a Christmas movie, isn't it? Because they have the New Year's party.
Is it?
Yeah, they have the New Year's party on the train.
You always loved that film. Yeah,
it's a fantastic film. I really loved it.
I wonder if you watch it now, would it be good or whatever?
It's probably going to be banned now because when they switch, you know, you suddenly have a white man playing the black man, and that's not allowed anymore. So
it's terrible.
That film will probably have to be taken off the air. It's crazy.
And you heard about the Simpsons, of course, and if you have it on DVD, you have to give it back in.
But it could be a gold mine. It'd be like trying to hide the Bible during the fucking the occupations or something, like. Do you know what I mean? But,
no, you have a fair point. You know the way in Star Wars, in E.T. about 15 years ago, Steven Spielberg edited out the men with the guns.
Right.
So you know the way you
they're all chasing them.
The men that are chasing E.T. and that are following the clues and stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
they're running down the road after them and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But you don't see their faces for most of the film.
Yeah.
But it would show them at their hips and stuff, and they had guns. But for whatever reason, about 15 years ago, Steven Spielberg went back to the movie and edited out the guns.
Okay.
So now
I can't imagine that now. I don't recall them having guns. Maybe at the very start.
Neither do I.
When they're in the forest or whatever, but I don't recall them having guns. And is this? But this is isn't this exactly the point? Why is Spielberg going back and changing it? Because if the guns were there when I seen it, and I've seen that movie countless times, it's I cry at that movie, you know. if I haven't noticed whether the lads had a gun or not, if I can't remember that now, then surely it hasn't impacted me in any way. Do you know what I mean? So
I'd agree. I'd totally agree. Yeah.
So why take out the guns? Maybe they've highlighted the fact now by taking out the guns. You know, and I don't know. They're finding fault with everything these days.
We're sitting here talking about it more aware than we ever would have been.
Exactly. So continue on. Sorry.
Presumably Steven Spielberg wasn't for, like, we're talking about years ago. There wasn't a big outcry over guns at the time, like the way there is now. You know.
Well, maybe he's a genius, isn't he? Look at the stuff he's produced or directed.
Ahead of time.
You know what I mean? He is a genius. So maybe he just saw it coming and it's like, you know what? I need to change something here. And he made it. So go do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But are you doing it for the right
it'd be interesting if you went to your parents or to my shelf and had a look at my VCR version of E.T., it will have the guns. Whereas if you watch it now.
Yeah. And that's it. This stuff guns, could become like the bootleg stuff, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Surely is.
But anyway, that's that sad story about this guy, Ted Backer. I don't know if what you're saying, if the Steve Martin film is, because let's be honest, Goldie, I'd say
Leap of Fate. Is that what the name of the film is?
Brush. What?
Is it Leap of Fate? Is that the name of the film?
Yes, it is. Very good. Jeez, you're on fire, Goldie. But look, I don't want to tar all these guys with the same brush. I'd imagine a lot of televangelists, you know, are kind of pumping their audience for money. No more so than the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I've just looked it up here, and I actually genuinely got it before I looked it up. But 1992 it was made, so that just goes to show you. It was a peak time for
that long ago.
Yeah. And indeed Steve Martin. Yeah. So
for the two of those guys are forever now going to be kind of.
But it's like that other film, Hear No Evil, See No Evil. Do you remember? Like you'd mix those two.
I love that film, yeah.
You know, what was their name?
But you know what? In fairness, Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin were in Bowfinger together, weren't they? Yeah.
They were in Bowfinger together. Yeah, that was a fantastic film. Fantastic film.
That's a really good film. Richard Pryor and who?
Gene, not Roddenberry or Hackney or Gene Hackney. Who's
the guy from? No, not Gene Hackman.
No, not Hackney.
The fella from the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, Gene Pitney and
Gene Pitney. So there we go.
Gene Wilder. Thank you very much, Ron McClan. Yeah, we know who you're talking about. Gene Wilder. Absolutely amazing.
Cleared
film.
of all abuse.
We don't even know if he has been. So let's not go down that road.
He was. And he was cleared. Totally cleared.
Was he? Well, I didn't know that, but let's hope it's true because I don't want to get sued. Do you know what I mean? I've enough going on at the moment. But yeah, fantastic actor.
Why would he sue you? Saying, "How dare they clear me? I'm guilty." I think he's actually dead now.
The fact that
he's probably dead now.
He was old enough. He brilliant, and he obviously played Willy Wonka as well, which is the best Willy Wonka. But I'm not going to say that
he was the best Willy. Is he the best Willy Wonka? What's the plot of Willy Wonka? Actually, I can't remember that.
Come on, it's about a boy, and I'm not going to go into the plot. Spend 20 minutes going through the plot of Willy Wonka. No, I think Gene Wilder has his nuances and stuff, and it's brilliant. He is. I think he's number one, right? Definitely.
I think that's.
But I'm not going to.
Johnny Depp
I'm not
is very, very good.
He's very good. I'm not going to say he's not good. He's different, and he has some very interesting little quirks and stuff. So yeah, they're very high. But I just think Wilder is just with the little subtle eyebrow raise and little things that he does. The eyes, it's his eyes. I think you just know he's a crazy motherfucker. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just barely holding it in.
Yeah, but he's actually.
But I don't know, Goldie. Are you just you're often like this in all the years I've known you? The original is always the best for you. I mean.
Well, I suppose and we'll see that later on in the show.
And when you watch it, you're very young, and it makes a huge impact.
It has an impact and an impression on you, and I think it's very hard to lose that. So, what else have you got for us? Let's not get.
No, you go now, Goldie.
Well, see, I'm going to bring you.
Done.
I'm going to bring you into a very sexual zone now because, and as I said, my next couple of stories.
Hold on. Okay, go.
No, like as I said, it was last week or 2 weeks ago was amazing to have such a wide range of stories to tell. Now we're back to kind of struggling, and it's a lot about sex. So the first story we have here is I've broken lockdown to have sex with 2 married men, and I don't feel guilty. Okay. And this is Claire, and she's from Liverpool. So don't worry, all right? She's not from Selbridge, okay? So, so she's from Liverpool, and she lives alone, and says the government's lockdown rules, which have been implemented to save lives, are crazy, as people need human contact. So she's basically, this isn't even really the main part of the story. This is just kind of the background. So she understands we're being asked to social distance, blah, blah, blah. She thinks it's too much, that it goes against her human nature. You know, that fact that most young people outside of high-risk groups have a very small chance of getting seriously ill from COVID should mean that we should be able to do it. We're being asked to go without sex for the whole summer to avoid a nasty bout of flu. It's a ban that most people cannot stick to. So, like, you can it's hard, all right? It's hard, but, like, come on. You know, fucking buy a fucking dildo or something, or, you know, it's a bit much, isn't it?
Well, was she with these two lads before the lockdown?
No, that's what I'm saying. This is not even the main part of the story. I'm just
right. Okay,
I'm getting to that.
Yeah,
so where she
too much?
Yeah, so she lives in a flat on her own. She says she's not going to. I said that she has a high sex drive and needs physical contact. So she went onto a website called illicitencounters.com. Now, we're not promoting this website in any way, shape, or form, but illicitencounters.com, okay? I know that sounds like I'm trying to promote it. I'm not. All right,
it does, yeah.
I know it does.
And now
but I don't mean it to come across that way. Yeah, they're not our sponsor, trust me. So if we stuck to the rules for about a month,
will be if we keep this up.
Yeah, basically, anyway, she went on this website, and the website is designed for married people to have affairs with whoever, like, do you know what I mean? So this is a website that married couples, or not couples, like the wife will go on, the husband will go on. They won't know each other are on, probably. One might be on, one might not be on. And it's designed for actually just organizing. It's Tinder for married people, basically.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So,
but she's not married, obviously. The woman.
No, she's not. But kind of the first question I had when I read the story was, did you break lockdown at any stage? And what did you deem was important for you to break lockdown? Was it sex related?
Yes, I broke lockdown to have an intimate encounter, but I wasn't cheating on anybody. So
yeah, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying. So you do feel it's okay to do that?
I see where the woman's coming from. I have issues with a lot of what she's saying, though, as I'm sure do you. First of all, Goldie, that website sounds fascinating. It's a ridiculous name for a website if it's supposed to be kind of secretive, isn't it?
Romo Clan, there you go.
Years ago, the Ashley Madison website.
Charlie, Romo Clan looked for a link there, so we've just have to provide the link. Sorry for only seeing that now. Sorry, continue on, Charlie.
Okay. Romo and his clan mightn't be so happy in the future if he uses that. Do you remember I think the name illicit encounters, you know straight away, if I was with someone and they saw that coming up on my search history, you know, straight away alarm bells would ring. But exactly. You remember the other website, Ashley Madison?
Yes.
That was hacked, yeah. That's a great name because, you know, when you look at that website, there's nothing to indicate that it's, you know, for people having affairs and so on. So it's a very odd name for a website. But I suppose they have to advertise somehow. And I want to kind of you're getting to where I'm going now. I actually want to get to the website itself and the whole idea behind it rather than this girl's story. Did you break lockdown, Goldie, for any reasons?
Well, see, I kind of wasn't really on lockdown. I obviously had to tour and stuff, and
you're a singer.
Continue on working. No, but I had to continue on working. Do you know what I mean? I had to keep the showbiz on the road.
What about for intimate reasons or anything like that, personal?
Well, there obviously been clearly no need for that to happen, you know, and that's what we're going to talk about in a little bit later in the show. So I had a look at this website, illicitencounters.com, right? the UK leading marriage dating website, and it's open to the Republic of Ireland. But like, if first of all, before you even go into it, you're obviously thinking, okay, it says it's discreet, safe, and fun. Okay,
right?
Are you right? And you're thinking, okay, that sounds really good. But if you're smart, you'll say to yourself, do you know what? If I go on this, what's to stop my partner going on it to find me? Do you know what I mean? But people do it anyway.
But do you put a picture up, Goldie?
Well, people do.
Like on the
There clearly
website in
is.
your profile.
Yeah, there
have
clearly
to
is
put a
pictures.
picture
Now,
up.
some of them will be of faces, some will be just lips or legs or whatever. I signed up to an account just for purposes of the show, and it's crazy. Like one of the things that struck me is these are like reviews people are giving it. So not only like Michael West Sussex says, it has almost certainly allowed us both to remain happy and married rather than just married. And
Wow.
so this is Michael just putting his name out there at West Sussex. Like, so he's
Sorry,
like,
I thought it was Michael West. I thought he was
No.
using his full name. Right.
No, but
so
like
Michael
to be-
in West Sussex.
Yeah, but
Right.
like you're not really helping yourself there either, because if your wife just happens to come on and start looking and she goes, Michael in West Sussex, that's going to make her a bit more curious, isn't it? Like, even though there could be a million,
Yeah.
you know.
But you're saying he's saying it made his marriage more happy. So maybe he did it with his wife's approval.
But I'm thinking more so that the wife didn't know and it made him fucking happy. So if he's happy, of course his wife is going to be happy because he's fucking happy. Do you know what I mean? So
Okay.
like,
Well, would you think that's an extra thrill for someone cheating? That it's not just the physical.
I wouldn't say it's a thrill.
I'd
I'd say it's a benefit. Like Poppy from Warwickshire says, it's definitely saved my marriage. I'd be lost without the lovely guys I've met on here. Right?
So Poppy could be married to Michael. Was she from Sussex?
Poppy could be a bloke as well. You know, this is we don't know what's going on here. But people's marriages seem to have been saved by this thing. And it's just amazing, because I think it is true. If you're happy, everyone is happy around you, isn't it? Do you think this could have saved your marriage, Charlie?
If I had gone on to this website?
Yeah.
IllicitEncounters.com.
Yeah.
Possibly, but probably not, no. Plus, when you read out those customer reviews, I'm so skeptical, because we grew up with these. You know, Alan from Northampton says, and James from Birmingham says, and you just know they've just plucked these out of the air. They're just making them up.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
You don't? Okay, right. My second problem with the website...
I don't think they have a reason to lie. Do you know, I think there's enough people willing to do this shit. Like it says here, as featured in The Times, The Guardian, BBC, The Sun, Daily Mail, ITV, The Telegraph, Cosmopolitan. It's probably next week going to have Midnight in Baghdad. And
or the Orphan Guide, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this is getting serious attention. It's IllicitEncounters.com. Wow. It's unbelievable. Like,
well, you know what? There was an article in The Guardian a few weeks ago in the personal section, and the question was, has your extramarital life suffered because of lockdown? And they were looking for people to contact, you know, the journalist, anyone who was involved in a kind of an affair or whatever before the lockdown. And obviously now you couldn't meet your partner anymore. And what had that done to your affair?
I think affairs have been knocked on the head as a result of COVID. We talked about that in our previous show, I think.
Yes, but this article came out after that, so I just thought it was interesting. The Guardian ripping from us. It's not just Alan Partridge. But there will be other affairs that will be strengthened. There will be a minority of affairs that will be strengthened because of the lockdown. Because let's say if I was having an affair right now, it's probably purely, initially, sexual. It's for the thrill, the secret of knowing that your partner doesn't know, and then, you know, something strange. But now, if you're in lockdown and you stay in contact with this person who you've been having a liaison with, it's suddenly no longer physical. I know you can do FaceTime and all that kind of stuff, and there can be a sexual element. But if you can keep that up during lockdown, there has to enter some kind of mental or emotional,
because it's not purely the physical anymore.
Yeah. So it could ironically strengthen a few affairs. And we discussed this 2 weeks ago that there's going to be a lot of divorces.
You know what I think would be fair
lockdown.
to say? There'll definitely be a lot more divorces and murders of fucking murders. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous. But anyway, let's talk
partners of
partners. You'd be like,
right?
No, fuck this. No, because people are just it can strengthen in many places, and obviously in other places it can crumble, I suppose. But I think it's sorry. If you just I'm sorry. I've just noticed that we've had. B enter the studio. We've had Lockhart and Meeples Champ. Thanks a million for joining us, and of course we have Romo Clan here as well.
We're discussing IllicitEncounters.com, a website that allows people to engage in, I suppose, what would you say, Goldie?
Sexual encounters.
Illicit encounters. that are not your partner.
Who may be married, yeah. And sorry, you're asking me a question. Go ahead with the question again, Charlie.
I can't remember what my question was. but can I ask then, so this woman, you'd read this article, she'd been with 2 married men. She was saying the lockdown was just not feasible for someone like her.
No, but sorry, I know what I wanted to say now, right? What I was trying to say to you is that if you're having an affair with somebody and you never had that emotional connection to them until COVID, well, then I think maybe one could slowly build as a result of the contact, the non-physical contact as such. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you had no emotion, but I think if emotion was there before COVID, I think that at that point it would degrade. So there's a difference between actually building up and coming back down, because that's like when you don't want it, or you couldn't care less. You're not missing them. You're not worried about them. You're not whatever. Do you know what I mean? But if you already have that emotional connection, well, then you're longing for them. And at that point, you can't have them. You might get fucking pissed off and angry.
Wow.
And then you just,
I would have thought the opposite.
To get away from it, then you just stop contact. I think that's probably the more likely way it would go.
Possibly. I don't know. But just for the sake of argument, you might have been in an affair just for the sex and the physicality of it. You mightn't have thought there was an emotional connection, but then when you can't be with the person and you're missing them, you might realize, whoa, am I missing as well? Just the chat, even if it was just giving out about my life or just saying stuff that I couldn't say.
You would, but
no one has an affair, Goldie, where they don't talk in bed after they've both satisfied each other.
Yeah, well, obviously I don't know. I've never been in that position, but
trust me.
Okay, there's an admission live on air. Thanks very much, Charlie. But no, I don't think. I think that you're thinking you're thinking almost too deep into it. Like, we're simplistic creatures at the end of the day.
I think your point is really interesting. I don't think we're simplistic, but I take what you're saying. It's interesting. Time will tell as we come out of this lockdown now. Like, if you can think of people that you know that are in affairs and so on, will it survive? Will it not survive? Has it already collapsed? And what'll be interesting,
and if
the ones that have collapsed, will they take it up?
That have been it.
Yeah,
exactly. And if any of our listeners want to send us a message, please feel free to do so in the chat box. If you want to call in, click in the call-in box. We'll be happy to hear from you if you want to pop in, say hello, and give your viewpoint.
So can I ask you then, Goldie, next question? This woman wasn't in a relationship, so obviously they allow singles to join it as well.
Oh, well, that's it. Like, anyone can join. Bruno Bowie, welcome. His Fire in the Lake avatar there. I love it, his background.
Brilliant.
No, this is for married people, for single people, whatever you want. But it's obviously the target market is married people.
Okay.
So I just find it really interesting.
Because these kind of swingers websites, yes. Wouldn't you have to? You couldn't join that if you were a single person. You'd have to join that as a couple, I'd imagine. Well,
no, you see, you can, because you can join as a man, as a woman, as a couple, because couples sometimes are looking for another man, another woman, a man and a woman, like, you know what I mean. So you need to have options open to you there. So it's open to everybody. Charlie Naughton, I'm 40 years old and a lonely white man. That's you. Okay. But I think it has to be open to everybody.
I know the pennies dropped there. You missed my 40th birthday, didn't you? Yeah.
No, I didn't miss it. That was last November. But no, I think you need to keep it open to everybody, for sure.
Okay, but if you're a single male,
you get invited to the odd party. You have to build your reputation up.
There'd be very few, wouldn't it?
I'm only speculating here, clearly, but
Sorry, I know. I'm not pumping you for information.
Yeah, no, I know, but
I'd love to hear if
I'm in the know
any
enough.
Of the listeners have done, swinging, dogging, any of those. Because I'm thinking, if I'm a single male and I join a swingers website, no one's going to want to know me. You want the couple. That's what I know. If I was on a swingers website, I want to meet another couple. I don't want to meet a single male, because you're going to have
some couples will. Some couples will.
Okay.
It's like,
Can I ask then, Goldie? Right?
you can select that though as your preference. Do you know what I mean? You can actually go in and they have tabs and stuff. Like, it's, you know, I don't like. I'm just saying I know this stuff because it's common sense. But like, they have tabs
I know what
and
you
fucking
mean.
things you can select what you're looking for. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, of course. Like, you know enough about life for that stuff.
But then, Goldie, a serious conversation. If you and your partner wanted a male, you know, for the swinging, like, so you wanted just a man, not another couple,
that's not a problem.
It wouldn't be a problem because all you got to do is go out to the nearest, you know, pub or whatever, and that's going to happen, isn't it? You don't need to go onto a website for that to happen.
Well, no, but obviously it's making it an awful lot easier, and then you can have a bit of fun building up to that. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think the internet has made it too easy to have sex with people, or do you think it's a good thing overall?
Well, it's definitely made it easy.
Definitely, yeah. Sorry,
is there such thing as too easy? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you might like it a little bit rough, but no, I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like,
I do, Goldie.
Why not? If consenting adults want to do that shit, then why not? Because it's very hard.
So what do you think of this woman in your story?
I can understand her pain.
I can
understand her pain, but at the same time, for the Christ's sake, you know, all we're asking you to do is stay indoors, just for a fucking month or two. Okay, use your fucking rampant rabbit. Do whatever you need to do, but for the love of God, like, your fucking ancestors fought in wars, so you could be here today. Do you know what I mean? People went through famines and people went through poverty and fucking recessions and shit. Like, do you know what I mean? Back in the day, like, we have it so good. And we're bitching and moaning about not being able to have sex for a month. Like, get off the fucking stage. Do you know what I mean?
So you don't have a lot of sympathy for her?
Not really. Like, okay, not sympathy, but empathy. It's okay. Is that okay? I have empathy for her, but I don't have sympathy.
No, I wouldn't say that live on air.
Oh, and we have a caller.
Great.
Bruno Bowie is with us. How are you, Bruno?
Well, folks.
How are things? It's great. It's great.
I'm shocked and horrified, quite frankly. You know what I mean? You can't possibly understand what it's like for, you know, people who are used to being able to have multiple partners at the same time having to be isolated.
Wow.
It's like seriously. I mean, it's like taking away oxygen, quite frankly. I mean, you can't possibly understand.
And are you talking from personal experience, Bruno?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's been difficult, you know.
Okay.
I've had to come up with, you know, new and innovative ways. Do you know what I mean? I never thought, like, you know, I'd have to go back to the days of lying on my arm just to kind of get the feeling that it's somebody else for a change, you know.
Yeah. In reality, that's really very hard to do. Like, you know, because you literally don't have any feeling. You can't even get a grip. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You have to use your other hand, which is actually more fucking tiresome and more obvious that it's you. I don't recommend doing that, to be honest with you. It's a lovely myth, but it doesn't work in reality. Continue.
It doesn't work, and this is the problem. You know, I mean, you know, there's like it really is a case of like, you know, we need very few things in life, or there's very few things that you need in life to survive. It's food, it's water, and it's air. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. They will get you through. You don't even need clothes. But I think, you know, as a primal species, fundamentally, we also have the desire to be with people and to you know, really, really, you know, be carnal on a very fundamental level.
You sound like an animal lover, Bruno. Like, you sound like, and I don't mean that as in you like animals. I mean, like, as a lover, you're a fucking animal. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you like biting and stuff. Do you? Talk to Goldie about it.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. I would be, and honestly, you know, when this is all over, I can't go. I can't promise that, you know, that deep animal won't be so hungry that that several people won't get satisfied, you know.
Well, don't go back into
Bruno,
the fucking water, folks. You know?
What about the fear of catching something off these people that you'd meet on these websites?
We're not just talking about STDs.
No, well, we should be, I
Yeah, I
suppose,
know.
as well. But the main fear would be Corona.
I think the main fear now is for me to catch that liberalism bug. You know the one that like they're all going on about. You know,
Politically correct stuff. Yeah,
it's
rampant.
It's rampant, and it's
like
driving.
A rabbit.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it really is. It's dangerous, and quite frankly, I think it's the one thing I'd fear to catch.
Would you like to share, Bruno, any kind of crazy liberal experience that you've come across that has just kind of had you scratching your head, or any story you've heard of, that...
Or, just tapping the table or whatever it is you might be doing, Yeah,
the liberals, I'd have to think about that one. I'll come back to that now, but I think, I think it's...
Yeah, I'd be honest with you, Bruno.
Hold
on a second,
good.
Bruno,
yeah.
Can we get one thing straight? Don't try talk over me when I interrupt, all right? I'm trying to pilot this show a little bit, all right? And I appreciate you calling
it. It's my fucking show, Bruno. No, you're all just guests here.
Don't raise your voice when I try to talk, all right? Let's not go there, because you can be disconnected just as easily, all right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine playing football with him as a 10-year-old?
No, but the example, I think that, to be fair to you, Bruno, I think the example that Charlie was saying was too extreme. He's asking you too deep. Let's dig just a little bit under the surface before we go there.
Right.
Now that COVID is over.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is for some people.
Well, I don't want to pull you up on that, but yeah.
I'd like to rephrase, sorry, not over, but, I think that's supposed to be the mentality out there. But now that most of the restrictions have been lifted, have you satisfied that need that you've been longing for? Has your hunger been fed, for want of a better word?
I'm going to say no, because you see, it's so bad right now. I have to exercise restraint, and there has to be serious plans put in place in order to get what it is I desire most now.
Wow. And will you be going on to illicitaffairs.com? That was the name?
It was. Yeah.
I think I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's a lot of these websites that are up there, and they're quite honestly, it's you want to be careful on them, because ultimately, if there's personal information up there, there's somebody storing that, and you wouldn't know what the purpose or what they could use that for.
No, you wouldn't go on the website.
Wow.
That's fine.
No.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We wouldn't accept
it.
Are
you suggesting that... Wow. I'm just thinking now, if you were worried that your partner was having an affair, you could set up one of these websites, with in your country, and tailor the website so that it's going to kind of be aimed at your partner's particular fetish and so on, and it could be a great way to find out the truth. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, there is that aspect of it. That would be very specific and require the expertise for that person. But there is the other thing as well, is that if you're on there and people know that this is an illicit affairs website, people target people on there. People are on there, and they're essentially, they know that people on there have partners. They know that people on there have something to lose, and as such, can go on there and target somebody with something to lose. They may catch an absolute... I
see. That's an interesting angle. So you're saying, for example, if I was in my job, right? And thanks for posting the website address there, Charlie. If I was in my job, for example, and I wanted to get promoted, okay, it could be an opportunity for me to go on to illicitencounters.com and search for somebody who I may know in my profession.
But Goldie, surely they wouldn't use their real name, would they?
But you might come across them, is what he's saying, I think. What he's saying is that people could use it to their advantage to blackmail you, which is not something that really we thought of. We were more concerned about getting caught. But blackmail is nearly worse, isn't it?
The blackmail is because, it's the fact that, like, they go on there and they're like, you hear about all these students who use, what's these kind of cash daddies and all this kind of thing.
Well, we're hitting on stuff that I have lined up for you. We're going to,
Right.
if I was a golfer, I'd be hitting -10s every week. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
we're hitting the holes tonight, folks.
Yeah.
So you mentioned sugar daddies.
What that means.
No, because we're going to get to the kind of sugar daddy thing or people spending money thing later on in the show.
Right.
So we're just hitting a few teams, which is great.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm looking at the website here. It claims anyway. It has almost 1.4 million genuine UK members. Does anyone know the population of the UK?
I don't know, but is it London 15 million alone?
60 million, I think, for the UK.
60.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think London is about 15 million.
Right.
So that's a big
population.
percentage that are
the
that's a big
population of London
percentage that are joining that website. Then.
Yeah, it's a significant amount.
8.9 million. Apologies, I overestimated it. 8.9 million. Right. Maybe it was 15 million back when I learned about it, but it's fucking a shit. It's twice the country. It's twice our country. Do you know what I mean? That their city is twice our country. So it's a big fucking place.
Yeah.
So, but Bruno, would this get you paranoid? Like, that's a huge percentage. If that figure they're giving is true. I don't know what the percentage there is, but it's a huge, it's quite substantial percentage. So if you're saying, if I'm not on it, right?
Yeah.
So if we do it mathematically, if I'm not on it, that counts out 50% of the people that are on it. Does that mean my partner is on it? Would your mind think that way, or?
I mean, whether your partner is on it or not is, yeah.
Would that turn you on?
There is
Bruno?
always that danger that you're on, and so your partner, and you kind of get it all fucked up.
Wouldn't it be amazing though? Wouldn't it be amazing if you were both cheating, but went onto the same website and actually selected each other to meet up? And you go out,
you did that.
You make this big excuse to get out of the house, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm actually going to my friends that night." And you're like, you have a fucking fight about it, and then it's like, "Oh, you never fucking say when I can go, whatever." And then you finally just fucking get kids to mind that you both go your separate ways and end up fucking meeting each other in a fucking, I want to say restaurant, but no, let's be honest about it. You're going to go to a hotel room. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't that be fucking hilarious?
Wouldn't it be either the hottest night ever?
Neither of you would have a leg to stand on, quite frankly.
Yeah,
so you could both make the best of it then, Bruno. Maybe.
But you know what? I'd be thinking in my head, this fucking cunt, right? This is just a trick. So I'm going to go into defense mode immediately, and I'm going to pretend that I knew it was her all along. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be like, like you all along.
Though the first time,
be the second to arrive, because then you can say I followed you here.
No. I'm gonna no. Oh, you recognize from the profile. You saw their phone. You saw something. You got a bit of intel. You know what I mean? You gotta pretend from that moment that you knew all along, because then no matter what fucking happens, you're the golden goose. Do you know what I mean? Don't back down and shit like that, man.
Goldie, you've gone on about this before. You love the idea, the fantasy of your partner cheating, but that mightn't be a common thing.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. If it's me walking in the door, I'm going to be like, "This is fucking excellent." Do you know what I mean? This is awesome. And then I'd be like, "Well, I'm only here because I knew all along." So do you know what I mean? I win. It's a win, fucking win. Because now she has to fuck you. I tell her to fuck. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah,
we should join this website. Yeah.
IllicitEncounters.com. Okay, we don't want to talk about IllicitEncounters.com all fucking night, but we might mention them later on in the show. Yeah. It brings me on nicely to my next story, which is, and it's got to do with sex. Millionaire to host Britain's first socially distanced alfresco sex party. So this is Richard Stanley, and you probably know Richard from a couple of years ago when somebody died in a swimming pool. It's not Michael Barrymore, folks. It's Richard Stanley. Okay,
the fella that owns Virgin Airlines.
Let's be honest about it. Everybody is thinking Michael Barrymore, right? Because we all know something died in the pool. Though? No, different party. That's what I thought. Then the next thing that came into my head was, no, it must be the same party. Because come on, how many awesome parties are there where people die in the pool? I feel sorry for the fucking family. I do. I think it's awful and it's terrible and it's a tragedy. But at the same time, how many people get to say they are at such a fucked up party? That's some fun night at the pool. Do you know what I mean? That's a party I want to be at.
Yeah.
But like,
what you're saying.
But I don't.
What you're saying. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's terrible for the family, so we shouldn't make light of that at all.
No, of course not.
And I know I probably am, but I don't intend to. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say on a basic level. You want to be at fucking crazy ass parties, don't you? But does this sound like a crazy ass party? It's a socially distanced swingers party, right? 50 guests will be held by millionaire businessman Richard Stanley and his lover, who works for the NHS. This is actually an interracial relationship. I don't know why that's important, but it seems to be all the rage at the moment. So it's a socially distanced sex party. So basically it's a swinger party where you actually just can't mix. You actually can't swap partners, which is obviously what the whole point is.
So how does it work?
They just socially distance and they have a good time. They have a big pig on a spit, like a full hog roast all through the night. Obviously a couple of different pigs, you'd imagine. They have this mad buffet and people just drink and have fun. And if they want to fuck, they can fuck and people can watch them. And if you get off on that, then great.
But in reality, fuck your partner.
In reality, let's be honest about it. Yeah. They're going to be all fucking each other because, you know, this is just a way of getting around it. And once you're in that, as Bruno talked about earlier on, you know, that animal instinct is going to come out. But it's interesting. He's charging 50 quid a head. It's fucking money well spent, I'd say. That's not a lot of money, is it? 50 sterling.
You get a meal with that as well.
Oh, like you should see. I'll put up a link here because you get to see the whole pig on a spit. And to be honest with you, 50 quid for just a pig on a spit on its own is a fucking deal in itself. Do you know what I mean?
Well, 100 quid is it if you got to bring a partner? Brilliant.
Yeah. But like that's 100 sterling for a pig and a spit
so now we're up to 121 euro. It's getting higher by the minute.
It's sterling.
What's the end cost?
Okay, 200 euro, right? Let's say
to get over to England, right?
A pig on the spit in a fucking mansion at some mad sex party. Come on, I'll fucking pay that every day of the week. Do you know what I mean? There's the link there for you to have a look at.
So you think this is an excuse and that they'll just end up having sex anyway? It's
I
not
think
like
so.
that you sit there and watch and you can touch yourself or whatever. There's actually going to be no social distancing.
I'd imagine that will happen. It'll probably start off like that and then it'll just unfold.
They'll all be waiting for the first person, won't they? And if I know anyone, it would be you that would be the first person.
To what? To go for it?
Yeah, like you know the way everyone went. Like think when you're at a Cayley or whatever in the Gaeltacht, and everyone's waiting for the first kind of boy. It's usually a boy to kind of cross over and make the move. And once one guy does it, everyone does it. You'd be that guy.
I think I just drank straight whiskey.
That'll be your excuse. That's what you go over and say to some lads.
I actually just drank straight whiskey. I took a seriously large gulp of it without realising. So sorry, folks. Yeah, I suppose it could be like a Cayley like that. And then, but you'd be eyeing somebody up all night and you know, people would be just... You'd be having sex, looking at other people having sex, and eventually you'll look at each other, eyes will lock, and you'll be drawn to them, and it'll just happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But just to finish it off, 5 years ago, the parties drew controversy after a guest drowned in their pool. Richard dived in to try save Dad of Three, Edmund Ichukuku, 35, and gave CPR but could not save him. A coroner ruled that the death was an accident. It was, to be fair. Despite the spotlight that fell on him, Richard insisted, "We're not doing anything we shouldn't be. Janet and I are churchgoers and don't do anything we're ashamed of." And should they be ashamed? I don't think so. They're just doing what everybody wants to do or a large volume of people want to do and just aren't allowed to say it. Can there not be a movement now for swingers to stand up and say, yes, I want to fucking fuck somebody else, or yes, I want somebody to fuck my wife, or whatever your fetish or thing is? Should we not do that?
I'd say no.
That's a question. Why not?
I don't know. Would the majority of people want to do it? You're obviously very open and, you know, want to experiment, but I'd imagine a lot of people would be so insecure that they'd be scared of the thought of, okay, every man would love to be with someone else, but does the fear of their wife or their partner being with someone else and finding the other person better than me override the desire? So I have two choices. I bring my wife to swingers party and I get to be with someone else, but so does she. And then what if she likes that other guy better? Or do I
but you got to build that into the pleasure. You got to build that into the pleasure.
But see, that's where you're different. I think you're different to people. Yeah, a lot of people find that
this is like, what's that movie, the Da Vinci Code with Tom Hanks?
Eyes Wide Shut.
No, Tom Hanks, and he's the Da Vinci Code, and that the albino monk. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
Eddie Murphy.
No, he's his real name is Paul something. Paul something.
I know the guy you're talking about. Yeah. He was in Legion or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, and he smacks his back with the spiky leather thing, and he's whipping himself basically.
What's that have to do with this?
I can't remember. No, but no, I do remember. I do remember what I'm talking about. I'm saying, like, when you're in that position where you see your missus get with somebody else, and then you start asking yourself, oh, does she like him more? Oh, is she going to leave me now? Or, oh, am I not good enough for her? Or whatever. Instead of that being a negative, use that to your pleasure. Torment yourself with those opinions and thoughts, but let the actual pleasure of it all, despite that, be more overwhelming. So that's what I'm saying is, go into the situation and then it's like, take the pain, start whipping yourself in the back.
Brace your fear.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and use that to your sexual advantage.
Hard to do, I'd imagine.
You'll be fucked up, but you'll have serious fucking sessions.
Do you ever find sometimes when you're having sex that you're too focused on the cum, the end result, that I gotta come, I gotta come?
Maybe focus on not coming, if anything else.
But that's what I'm saying. Do you sometimes find you're overly focused on the cum, and then it ruins all the moments in between? I've gotten that way.
Are you talking about when you're having sex, right? And Bruno, we'll get you in a moment in this one, right? You're having sex, and are you thinking about, instead of actually enjoying the moment and taking the scenery in and what soundtrack is playing and, you know, the feeling of the skin or whatever it is that you're trying to soak in, you find yourself focused on, I better not come now. Is that what you're saying?
No, the opposite. I
knew you were going the opposite, and you didn't make that clear when I asked you earlier on.
Sorry.
No, that definitely not, because for me, what you're basically saying is that it's all about coming straight away for you.
It's become that way too much for me, yeah.
Yeah, then, you know.
Bad state of affairs.
It's a bad state of affairs, and I don't want to go to the extreme that I would with the TV show The Dark. Like, you don't have to do anything stupid, but stop fucking doing that, man. Do you know what I mean? Enjoy.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done, isn't it? You can say to yourself, next time you're going to be with someone, I'm not going to focus on the cum. But just saying it doesn't change. You know what I mean? Once you do something once, you do it a second time, it becomes
you're like a heroin junkie that you just need to get that fix straight away. Like, that's unbelievable. Like,
you used to call it chasing the dragon.
Yeah, like you're looking for that perfect fix, or that first fix you ever had. Like, nobody has a better orgasm than the very first. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're chasing every time, but you're taking that to the extreme. What do you think?
Not willingly, Goldie.
I know, but I don't understand why you would. Do you know what I mean? Like, just enjoy the moment. Like, you know, because once you experience that high, it's gone. Whereas when you're waiting on that high and while you're experiencing the build up to that high, it's there. Do you know? I think that my biggest envy of women, and I don't want to make this sound ridiculous, or like, I don't know, should I be envious of something more is what I'm saying. I'm trying to be politically correct. They're amazing people for so many different reasons, but one of the fucking reasons I really envy them for, and I don't want to sound shallow, is that their orgasms last so much longer. Do you know what I mean? And I'd love to experience that and feel what that feels like. But they have amazing other qualities too that I would like to adapt to such.
They can also come so often. I think that blows my mind.
I wouldn't agree with that necessarily. I think that, you know, you find that
compared to a man,
some can, some can't.
All right. Well, I'd imagine that
they can physically. You know, so you're confusing the difference here between physically being able and enjoyment. So, you know, what you're saying is that it takes a man longer to get another erection or to maintain one. If you maintain one straight after, you're fucking, that's a jackpot. But like, to the ability to do that is less, but a woman's hole is always there. She's going to have to, like, not have to, but like, she has the ability to take it if she wants it.
No, I think
even if it hurts her. Even if it hurts her. So I don't know. I think it's different.
No, let's be honest. Most women don't come from penetrative sex. I mean, in terms of a woman being able to orgasm, she can do it a lot more if we were to time it or whatever, and say a 12.
So if you were to say
period
how
or
many
whatever.
orgasms could you have in 2 hours?
Yeah, a woman is going to far exceed a man. Far exceed her.
Yeah, I can see the potential for it. I can definitely see the potential for it. I don't know how we got to this stage, but yeah, I can see potential for it. But I also think that if you're going to put this as an Olympic sport, or some kind of it doesn't have to be Olympic sports. It can be some bullshit TV show like Flora's Lava. Did you see that new one? The Takeshi's Castle type fucking trash. I'd watch it. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they can. But I can see a man beating a woman in that, and I'd love to actually partake in that kind of competition.
Bet you would.
Are you washing dishes? Can I ask?
Yes, I am.
Can you actually sit the fuck down, right? We're in the middle of a show here, all right?
Sorry.
And stop washing fucking dishes. Jesus
I stopped
Christ.
getting paid at 10 o'clock. You always promise
hell.
these shows will be 60 minutes, then we get cut off. I have the dishes sitting here looking at me.
Bruno, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really is a case of like, yes, it probably would be nice to be able to do that where you can just keep on going or come again and stuff like that. But realistically, like, when you get to that point and you have come, you don't really care for coming again anyway. And I'm always trying to think about, whilst it's great, the one thing I like, it's very efficient for me because I do what I do with one person and we enjoy it and blah, 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 and everybody's happy and blah, blah, blah. But I'm always just then thinking about where do I go to next? I don't necessarily want to dwell too much on the one person.
Okay,
either.
So you're happy to get the fuck out of Dodge, basically.
Well, I mean, this like you were talking earlier about like would people like it's funny how I suppose we go back to the liberals. They're all for equal this and equal the other thing, and that's great. That's great. But then once somebody comes up with something like this as suggestion on how we could live our lives and can we live our lives like this and do these things, all of a sudden then they get different morals, and it's like no, because that doesn't fit the normal life. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't fit like our.
Are you making a point about something entirely different?
Yeah, I'm just wondering that. Like, what is your point, Bruno?
I'm just saying, like.
Are you trying to answer a question that was posed earlier while answering this question? Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to
no, not at all. But what I mean is,
you can go back to that. There's time for that if you want to go back. But answer this question without trying to answer the other question too.
Well, I guess it's kind of like it's for me. It's all involved, I suppose. So but with regard to this, I definitely think variety is great, and
it's the spice of life.
Yeah, and the quicker and better you can be at getting over the like one person, the quicker you can get on to the next person.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Because if we had this ability to come only to once, right, for example, like we do,
like a bee, like a fucking bumblebee,
right?
And I'm not talking
if they sting you. That's if they sting you.
I know, but you get the reference for fuck's sake.
But like that, so if it took us like X amount of hours to get to that point and enjoy that person and do that and do blah blah blah, and then we had to wait like we do, as you say, the recovery period for a guy is longer, right? That means now you've had all that time doing that. Then you have your recovery period, and then you get to move on to the next person. I kind of like the efficiency of, the shorter time with the one person, get then doing a recovery period. It means you get more in the day.
You get through more.
You get more through in the day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's serious, and it's fair play to you, Bruno. Like it's some lifestyle you lead. To be fair, I don't know how many I could handle at once. I could probably with a day or two's notice get 9. I could probably get 9, and then I'd be starting to get worried. Do you know what I mean? But I'm definitely interested. I think I'd nearly do this competition anyway, Charlie and Bruno. I think I might do it just to see, and we'll probably report back on another show because it's something that does interest me.
You're saying 9 in a 24-hour period.
Oh, 24 hours.
Sorry, what were you talking about?
Like if you're actually going to stay up all night too, if you're going to go full 24 hours.
What did you mean by 9? Sorry.
like your normal average day, like getting up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at whatever 10, 11 or 12.
Come 9 times.
I think it could be done. Yeah,
It'd be tough.
it would be tough.
I couldn't.
Now you might not like. Have you ever had a fucking? Did you ever have a cum when you weren't hard?
All the time. I had one today.
I know.
I actually think they're the best cum. How do you know? Oh yeah, sorry. they're the best cums, I think.
But they're kind of annoying as well. I'm like, are you fucking joking me? Like, do you know what I mean? But
you're
like,
kind of embarrassed that you're not hard because you think it's a reflection on you. But I actually think that is the best cum.
Do you like those? What do you think? Have you ever had those hardless cums, Bruno?
Yeah, I think that came when I was on holiday one time. I went on kind of one of these kind of sex trips, and was enjoyed everybody in the villa and all that kind of thing. If you can do it. I lost 12 pounds in weight.
Wow.
What was the sex trip?
What's
it
this
was an
about
endurance
again?
thing. It's kind of like one of those Club 18 things, but more for
for 30s, 40s.
Well, once you're 18, I suppose you can off you go at it, have it at it. Like
so, it's like Club 18 then.
Well, 17 technically, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think they're being ultra careful, obviously, not to get, to make sure you do. But it's like when
where's the thrill
you go to a resort, and it's like that. It's like the party where if you're going to hit it off with somebody, bang, you go to.
I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about, Bruno. Genuinely. So you go with a partner.
You can go alone. You can go with a partner. You know what I mean? It's
to really kind of a hotel resort.
Yeah.
Right. And what happens?
Well, you got everything like you would on a normal holiday. You can enjoy.
Kids club, all that stuff. Yeah.
No, not the kids. The kids club is the kids club. You send the kids off with your in-laws or whatever or whoever if you have kids. So
it's specifically for sex. Everyone that arrives at that hotel anticipates that's going to have sex with someone at that resort and thinks they're going to have sex with someone that they didn't arrive with.
So bottom line.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Bruno, I can't remember your fucking name. I know it's no reflection on you. It's just you have so many of them. Like how many times? It's just a straight out fucking answer. How many times do you think you can come
in a day?
We'll go 24 hours.
In 24 hours. Oh, a double digits will be very impressive, but I think you're right there. Once you get. I think the quality goes down after 7, 8.
Oh, you're
9.
just getting fucking like you'd be lucky to get a puff of fucking smoke. Do you know what I mean? By the end of it. Like, that's the reality.
No new pubs coming.
I think that comes back to the to a certain, but it's like I just couldn't be arsed. Like it's like would you get out? Like if she's there, it's like or if he or she is there, and
would you do 13? Would you do 13, Bruno?
Oh, if it was a challenge and it was, I would certainly give it a fucking good go.
Okay, well, I think
like if it was competition, I would, yeah.
I think we need to set up a competition, folks, before the next show. And we should probably, I don't want to say live stream it, but there should be something that can keep
evidence.
Kind of listeners tuned in. Yeah, some kind of evidence of some sort, without obviously revealing things that we don't want to be revealing, but we'll work on that. I think there needs to be something that we can discuss off air, because I think that's a competition I'm up for, excuse the pun, and it'll be interesting to see how we get on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we will bring you that after. So that's basically it. Just finish up on that sex party. I would definitely go to the sex party, even if I couldn't actually be with anyone else. It would be just an event, wouldn't it? It'd be something nice to go to and to actually watch others and have them watch you, etc. So it's still a good idea. Charlie, I think we should go back to you now, because my stories are still somewhat sexual. Probably not as intensely sexual as the previous one. So I think we should kind of go back to you just to give a little break for a moment.
I think just to say thank you for that story. It's opened my eyes a lot. I'd love to know, maybe on another show, if Bruno could elaborate. I have no idea what Club 18 or whatever it was. I'd love to know more about
Club
that.
18 to 30. It's
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was
the Mediterranean.
Yeah, You go to
club
the Mediterranean,
things.
you go to a resort. All that. It's designed holidays for that age group. You know what I mean? This is designed holidays for people with the desire to have sex a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
You
is
have
there
cruises.
any kind of specific mechanism that sets you up with other people, or is it just should happen naturally? Like there's the pool, it's just
Yeah.
like a normal resort. There's no kind of
Well, there's
timetable or anything
you
like
just
that.
don't
Is there?
walk into the resort. There's walls and gates around it. Like
Yeah, I know.
Charlie,
I
have
know,
you ever
but,
seen Charlie? Have you ever seen the Beat Uncovered when you were a young
No.
lad on Sky?
No,
You wouldn't have Sky, obviously.
I didn't have Sky. I
You
still
don't
don't
know
have
what
Sky.
Beat Uncovered.
No.
Have you ever seen Geordie Shore or any of these shows?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it's basically that.
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
fake.
I know.
Bruno's
but
talking about here.
I know, but I'm trying to actually like if you had seen them Beat Uncovered, it would have been a better example because there's actually not tour guides. I can't remember what you call them. Basically, tour guides, I suppose. Reps,
Yeah.
holiday reps. That's
reps, holiday reps. Yeah,
holiday
exactly.
reps that kind of lead you through your holiday as such, and it's all aimed towards young people going out, getting fucking
Okay.
absolutely hammered, having sex, and coming home. So
Right.
it's organized. So in that sense, what he is talking about is a similar thing. It's organized.
Well, I suppose what I'm asking, I know what you mean. I'm just what I'm asking Bruno is, as part of how organized is it? Is there a specific, an agenda where everyone meets at 6:00, nearly like an Agatha Christie movie? You're all in a certain room at 6:00, and there's kind of drinks. At the start of a Christmas party, there's like kind of drinks, and you're supposed to mingle, or does it just happen organically, randomly, because that everyone else in that resort has come for the same reason? That's what I'm kind of.
I can see the question you're asking now.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And it's a genuine question.
It can be both. It can be both where
Always on the fence. Yeah.
it can a little bit. Mostly,
Yeah.
it's like you
Well,
could,
I won't get
you
an
could
answer
be going
out of
down. Honestly, it could be that most of the time it's you're going down for a bit of cake or whatever for dessert or whatever like this.
Bit of
Bump into
cake.
something. You go down. You're going down for cake, and someone comes up to you and says, "Would you like to eat that off me?" You know what I mean?
You serious?
It could be, yeah. Like
So
you,
it says
like
forward
you're
or
there.
It's like
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, it's like,
you're like, is there any fucking bits in it, Mom?
right. Yeah. So
Ron will
it's,
camera get that one and appreciate it. I'm sure. I hope he's shoulder shaking in his bed as we speak.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Bruno. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So can I ask one last question? And then I promise this is it. So did you go on your own to this place?
yeah, I did. Yeah.
And was that harder than if you...
Less complicated answer to give for that one, I'd say.
No, I went on my own because I had decided that I just wanted to spend like a week, like fucking losing
other
12
women.
pounds. Like, yeah, exactly. That's it, really. Came across and thought that's the very job for me, and then off I went.
It's reasonable enough. Lads, we're 100 and whatever. We're not even 100. We're like 80 minutes into the show almost, and we're still talking about fucking this shite.
Sorry, yeah, we got... Well, that's it. You see, that's it.
I appreciate it. I
blame that on you.
But I just don't want to. I don't want to dwell on stuff. We're known for moving fast. You know what I mean?
Right.
So tell us
No,
all
we're
about
not.
your next story.
Next story. Imagine if you had...
No religion.
basically... or there was no heaven. Imagine if you'd rented a house,
Nothing
right?
to die for. Yes.
You
year-long lease.
You mean where we're living now, like?
Imagine this then, Bruno. So you're living in a rented
Little
house.
baby,
So
heaven
I'm
is a
wealthy
place
enough
on
to
earth.
afford my own house, okay? So imagine if you're renting a house and you find out you've rented a house, it's a lovely house, you're having a crack, you're in London, and after 2 days you realise that there's the spare room in your house is locked, and that you can see from under the
Is
door
it the
that
light?
the light is on. Yeah.
You've told us story already last week. Is this where the person is this the letting agent?
Yeah.
Will you fuck off? Like you're obviously on the wrong fucking page here. You told us the story last week.
Maybe he's still there. I don't know. Did they get rid of him? Did I do that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
They texted him.
Yeah, and he said, I'm
Yeah,
still
he said,
there. And then
"I'm
he was
still
going to pay
in
the
the
rent. He was going to put the deposit down, and then you went to a different house, and
Yeah.
there was kids' toys in the bath. Do you not remember all this?
Vaguely, yeah.
Fucking
We can edit this out, can't we?
Oh, no, this is live. You can't. Well, go on anyway. What's your next story? For fuck's sake. This is the fucking typical,
man.
absolute disaster.
Typical.
Did you actually take any notes today?
No. I can't. I've given up on this show. I've checked out months ago. It's not the same when you're not sitting in front of someone because you need the physical. It's the physical thing. You need to be able to see their faces.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to tell you about
That's
67-year-old.
I think that brings us back, though, right? That brings us back. You can imagine what it's
Bruno's
like
still
for
here.
somebody.
Hey,
Huh?
Bruno. You're still here with us. Yeah, go on.
It brings us back to the fact that people don't understand what it's like. And this girl's story from before, you know, she needs to be in people's company getting fucked.
Physically looking at them.
You really, in order to enjoy this experience, you need to be in the studio, you know, with everybody and enjoy. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like being at home, pulling the end off yourself, and
There's something missing.
It's just what the fuck, man. Like, I mean, I've been doing this for 3 months. What, you know?
Yeah.
It's just not the same. It's just not the same.
But listen, it's not the same.
Tell us about the 67-year-old woman, but it's not. Bruno, we're going to move on. We're going to move on.
Okay. We're going to do the best we can. 67-year-old man, but he does have a woman's name, Stephanie Burgoyne, was exposed. This person, though, I'd never heard of him, but this person has sold millions of copies of books in France. They're a very well-renowned, or were a very well-renowned French writer of true crime books.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in the last month, he was exposed. So he'd all these claims. He's written over 40 best-selling books, true crime books in France. Like, he sold millions of copies.
So they're all written in French, are they? They're
all written in French. No, they're not subtitled. I don't know, has he been translated into English? I'm sure someone can check it there. Stephanie Burgoyne. He claimed he'd interviewed more than 70 serial killers. He claimed his wife was murdered by a serial killer in 1976. Claimed he was a professional soccer player for Red Star. It's a football team in Paris. Like, proper
Red
football
Star
team.
is in Belgrade, I thought, no?
No, not Red Star Moscow. No, it's a Red Star in France.
Okay.
But it probably was like left wing when you think of the French Revolution and so on. So he claimed he was trained by with the FBI in the 70s. He claimed he'd interviewed Charles Manson. So imagine, like, I'm trying to think of, like, there's not that many famous true crime writers over in England or in America. I'm thinking of Anne Rule as one. But imagine someone like John Grisham, who writes all these, legal thrillers. So they're renowned. Everyone knows of them.
Yeah.
And then it turns out after 30 years
that he's a serial killer himself.
No, I wish that would be a great story. Yeah. But everything about him is fake. He was never a professional soccer player. I don't even know why he made that up. He wasn't trained by the FBI. He was never even married. Like, he claimed his wife was murdered by a serial killer in the 70s. He made it all up. What fascinates me about this story is that he got away with it, first of all, for 30 years. I mean, imagine you or I saying, right, I'm going to write a book, but to make me more marketable, I'm going to create this, whole cover story. It's one thing 30 years ago, but 20 years ago with the internet, you could easily check this guy out. He was only exposed because people checked him out in the last month.
Wow.
So
and it's funny that... Go on,
yeah.
No, go on. I don't want to lose your chain of thought there. Go on ahead.
Chain or train?
It can be both.
Okay. But it got me thinking about, like, have people, the people that, like, we hear stories about, I lost my wife in a tragic accident, or I traveled a lot, or when I throw out these lines about their biography, does anyone check it up, or do we just believe it? Like,
we believe an awful lot, and that's brilliant, because it's amazing that you bring that up, because it is a very interesting story. And the answer is, we do believe it. We generally believe what we're told. In reality, we're getting a little bit more skeptical now. People are copping on a little bit more, but at a baseline, we believe what we're told, and you have to train yourself almost not to. But it's very interesting, because I was looking at stories earlier on, and I'd stopped doing so, and then I was just browsing through social media, and I came across this kind of video that I watched, and it's exactly what you're saying, and it's called The Great Hip Hop Hoax. I said that completely wrong. I didn't read right. The Great Hip Hop Hoax. All right.
I thought you said it fine.
Yeah, no, I just, in my mind, it didn't sound right. So The Great Hip Hop Hoax is a documentary film by Jeannie Finlay, and it's about a Scottish hip hop duo, right? And they're called Syllable in Brains. And these guys they wanted to be rap artists. So they went to some local thing, and they're from Scotland. They went to this kind of local competition or something like that, or maybe a Scottish competition, to become a rap artist, or to have their rap songs played on the radio. And they didn't get it. They were actually told after 30 seconds of singing, lads, you sound like the Proclaimers trying to be a rapper. It just doesn't work. You will never be rappers. Scottish people can't rap, blah, blah, blah. So this is what they were told. So they decided to pretend to be American. So they went back to their kind of little half-ass studio in their bedroom, and they made the song that they had sung in the competition, the exact same song, but in American accents. And it won the some radio station's national competition or some shit like that. And it was played, maybe even BBC Radio, not BBC Radio, but one of these ones.
Radio Scotland or whatever.
It was played like non-stop. And then they realized that actually, you know what, this is a thing. So they end up getting signed by Sony. And they had to come up with this elaborate story of, that they were from California, that they were good friends. They were good friends with Eminem and all this kind of bullshit. And the company just ate them up because they were brilliant. And they just decided to over-exaggerate stuff. They were chasing each other with knives around the stage and doing all sorts of acting like badasses, like totally put on. And the fucking studios ate it up, and they became famous. And one of the kind of early days, they got a phone call to say, listen, you're shipping out tonight, you're warming up, you're an old friend of yours. And they're like, what do you mean an old friend of mine? He says, you're the warm-up back tonight for Eminem. And they had obviously told the producers that they were good friends with him, and Eminem taught them how to be rappers. So they're like, oh yeah, cool. And he said they went backstage and they met, and they just started hugging them, pretending they knew them. And the lads just played along. It's just human nature. You play along. You're like, oh yeah, man. And obviously the band, the Eminem's band, had thought maybe we met them on the road at some stage. So they didn't want to be rude and pretend they didn't know them. And they got away with this for fucking ages. And then eventually I think they were hiding their passports the whole time. And the lawyer eventually copped it, and they were asked to come clean, but they refused to come clean. They said that they, I don't know what you're fucking talking about. And they still continued on for a while. Until eventually I think one of them got arrested or went into rehab or some shit like that and came out and revealed all. But it's an unbelievable fucking story. They
blasted their way through most, like,
they basically conned the music industry, yeah. And your man had a big fucking tax bill. So he had to, he was doing escort work so people could go out with a rapper and fucking doing all sorts of, he was working in a fucking, 1 week he'd be with, one week he'd be with Madonna.
He was working as an escort.
No, but he'd have to do stuff, people would pay for his company, and he'd fucking do all sorts of mad jobs because he had to pay this tax bill, because they'd spent $1 million over the course of a year, and then he ended up getting this big tax bill when he came clean.
So it was actually costing him money. He wasn't making money out of this.
Oh no, because he had a year, the best party of his life for a year. But then when it came out who he was and whatever, he owed his tax bill. So he was saying, this week he was hanging out with Madonna at parties, and the following week he was fucking queuing up for social welfare, basically. It's fucking
he must have been spending crazy. If he was getting all this money for that year,
sure, why wouldn't
sporting Eminem?
That'd be like you and me conning our way into some, onto to take over. Let's say your man, I don't even know his fucking name, the big podcaster, the UFC lad. What's his fucking name again? It's gone out of my fucking head. Ron McClann's going to help me out here now. It's Joe Rogan.
Holmes.
No, Joe Rogan's podcast. It's probably one of the most popular, well-known podcasts in the world. Let's say he fucking pops his clogs tomorrow. God rest him. We loved him. And that's like us getting called up to replace him. That's what this shit is. Blasting our way into doing that. Well, it's a massive fucking story.
I'd say it happens a lot.
I suppose
Go ahead,
the question,
Bruno.
I suppose the question is there then.
If you bring this back to swinging now, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yeah, we've heard about the website and the holiday.
Yeah.
And I hope
IllicitEncounters.com.
It brings it back to the question then. If the product is good, as you say, the song and the what they were doing and blah blah blah, does the fucking backstory really matter a fucking toss anyway? Because people are enjoying the fucking thing. They don't give a they only like the idea of the backstory. They don't is it really that big a betrayal if the story isn't real? I think
it is. The backstory is everything, Bruno. I don't watch X Factor, but I can remember Goldie going on for ages about, it must be 15 years ago, on X Factor about some bin man with crooked teeth whose wife had died. The backstory is crucial. I think it's to the whole experience.
It may be, but see, that's the problem.
It must be.
Yeah, no, it has to be, because it plays on the heartstrings, but it's all about what you like. If you're confident enough and you have the gift of the gab, essentially, you can con your way into doing fucking anything in this world.
Mm-hmm.
I've just put up a link there, folks, for it. It's actually a program on
admire
BBC.
someone for that.
But it means they're willing to do anything.
As the person posted today, a hero. He's brilliant. Like, these are two lads that went having a brilliant story, and they're obviously going to reap the rewards from it now, telling their story and making a documentary and stuff like that.
But it means they were willing to do anything to become what they wanted to become, and that's admirable.
Yes, and just to add to your point there, Bruno, is that's what they said at the end of the video. It was just a short video. I didn't see the whole documentary, but he says at the end of the day, we might have bluffed our way up onto that stage, but we stayed there because we were actually good. And while everything else around us might have been a con, that was really us up there on that stage. And that's
the point I was trying to make.
Yeah, and it is. And I know you're trying to go there with it, and it's amazing. It is brilliant.
Did you hear them rapping, Goldie?
Yeah, it wouldn't be my thing, to be honest. They did kind of sound a little bit like Eminem, I must say. No, but they did
come across as Scottish,
No, they had Scottish accents. If you were listening to the fucking story, they had them at the start, and they were told you that Scottish
in
people
the actual
never
rap.
Yeah, no, in the rap they had to change it to kind of American, so they're putting on these American accents from California, and like the producer, whoever it was, that they go to the person doing the quiz originally, whatever it was, they're like, "Oh, whereabouts you from?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm from Sant Jericho or wherever the fuck it was," and they're just making it up as they go along, and it's brilliant. It's an amazing story. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that they can pull it off for that long.
Yeah.
I know.
But I think what it comes down to as well, like, I mean, is that it, as you say, the product was good enough, and it's the fact that they were being rejected as their original story that means that.
Well, don't we see that all the time? And that brings me back to other debates. We see
it's
that
a
all
shallowness.
The time.
They can't be good because of look at their history. Their backstory is no good, so they couldn't possibly be good going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that letting agent that stayed in the tenant's house for 2.
No, but it is. But you see people changing their name all the time, changing their image, other people standing in for other people that are like, I can't remember offhand, but it's definitely been singers through the years who mimed. And it was actually the actual singer was a brilliant singer, but was just not attractive enough or pleasable to the eye enough to be going on stage.
Do you remember, Goldie, years ago we had a conversation about the skater girl singer? I can't think what's her name now.
No doubt.
But the rumor was she died. No, not Gwen Stefani. The rumor was she died.
Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne. She died years and years ago, but that they just replaced her with someone who sang like her, and it's such an odd out there theory, but then you wonder, how did that get started? Yeah, no, maybe it is true. Maybe it started. Maybe there was that. But then who is Avril Lavigne? Is the person that we've watched on all those music videos. And
but it's like that show. Have you ever watched Black Mirror? Have you ever watched Black Mirror?
I love Black Mirror, yeah.
Yeah, and the episode with Miley Cyrus in it, and she's a musician, and she's starting to kind of, she gets old enough to decide that, I'm just being exploited here, and this is not what I want to do, and this is just, I'm a money machine here, and she wanted more than that. Yeah. The moment she wanted more than that, her aunt or sister or mother, whoever it was that was looking after her, basically put her into a coma and used her image, and they came up with like holograms, and they would still, obviously being that Black Mirror, they had technology that could extract new music from her brain, but they would just have a hologram perform it, and it was like
that's amazing.
Of her best stuff. So it's that kind of, Black Mirror is a reflection on where we are with society now, I think, and that's
but it totally
having
is,
an episode like that, I think, shows.
Do you remember when Kevin Spacey was accused of all the rapes and so on, and he'd made a movie, and at the last minute then Ridley Scott, who made the movie was ready to go. It had been made, it had been edited, there was the final cut. But then when it came out about Kevin Spacey, Ridley Scott decided to reshoot the clips with Kevin Spacey, and he got the guy from The Sound of Music, who's way older than Kevin Spacey. Can't think his name now. But he
Benedict.
No, he's really old. Like, this guy must be in his 80s.
What's his name?
You know the guy I'm thinking of anyway. He's still handsome, even though he's really old.
Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke.
No.
Are you not thinking about Dick Van Dyke?
I know. I watched that Simpsons a few weeks ago to where editing and conservatism gets really extreme, and they can't use any bad words anymore on TV. So the Dick Van Dyke show, they're watching it, and it's like the beep Van Beep show.
That's brilliant. The Dick Van Dyke.
Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer. That's it.
Christopher Plummer. Yeah. Well, he wasn't in The Sound of Music.
Was he not? God, I thought he was. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Mary Poppins. Did you say Mary Poppins or did you say The Sound of Music?
Sound of Music.
All right. Well then, yeah. Sorry, I apologize.
He could have been in both. I don't know.
No, he's not. He's not.
Is he not?
The actress was in both. Judy Garland. No, not Judy.
Oh yeah, you're right. Julie Andrews was in
Julie
both.
Andrews.
Yeah.
Julie Andrews was in both.
They reshot the
crazy
scenes,
how the brain works.
With Kevin Spacey and just sliced him out of the movie.
Yeah.
And it was done with such ease. And then, you know, the way Princess Leia died, can't think of her name, Carrie Fisher. And they used a kind of a hologram of her for just a couple of clips, I think, in the second Star Wars. So what you're saying is interesting because I think that's where we are right now. If we wanted, Al Pacino or whatever could die in the morning. And probably,
we could put him in.
You could actually make a movie in which Al Pacino plays a big role. In fact, I think I haven't seen The Irishman yet, but a lot of that is just digital.
Yeah, it is. You can see it is the future, and in a way, it'd be nice to see old characters come back. And I think that's the way it should be done. I don't think we should have actors playing a new role
after they're dead.
That would just
surreal. Yeah,
it'd be ridiculous. I think, but definitely to reprise characters that we've seen before. Absolutely, the sentimental value is massive. Just to go back to Dick Van Dyke, because I think that is very fucking funny. His real name is actually Richard Wayne Van Dyke. He's 93, 94.
He's still alive.
He's still alive, yeah.
Jesus. Is he Dutch? Like, you always think Van Dyke. I'm thinking of
he was born in the West
Faja.
Plains, Missouri. But he definitely, like, now that you say it, when he went to the studio or whatever, they were like, listen, Richard, we're going to have to change your name to Dick, which is obviously just another name for Richard anyway. So it was perfect. Dick Van Dyke. Unbelievable.
But I wonder, did Dyke mean lesbian then, and did Dick mean cock
Dyke,
then?
to be careful, I don't want to go into that now because I don't know if that even does mean lesbian. It could mean a version of a lesbian. We're not going down that road.
You can't be that politically correct.
We're not going down that fucking road.
Okay, fair enough. Right.
But go on anyway.
No, that's it. No.
Excellent.
Random crazy story though. Here's a crazy thing. Drag queens. Goldie or Bruno was talking about Scotland earlier. No, you were. Sorry. Drag queens were banned from a gay pride march in Glasgow. Do you know why? This is like politically correct liberalism gone wrong.
Tell us. Talk to Goldie.
Drag queens were banned from gay pride march because they caused offence to people who are transgender. Now, when you think about that, it's just the mind boggles.
It's a double standard, surely.
I don't know.
Tell me that story again. Who's been banned from where?
So drag queens. So I was going to say gay men. Not every man who's a drag queen obviously is gay. So males who dress as women. I'm thinking now of Dame Edna and what was the Julian Clary person? It was Julian Clary Dame Edna actually.
No,
we all. No, so drag queens.
Julian Clary was just a fucking presenter for ITV.
No, Julian Clary was a drag queen.
I used to tell you when Coronation Street was coming on. Oh, no, that's Dale Winton. Sorry, that's Dale Winton.
Yeah. Dale Winton is different. I think Dale Winton was a homosexual.
They both are.
Probably still is.
I think
is Julian Clary actually homosexual? Because I know he's a drag queen.
Yeah, he's an absolute fucking. No, he is. Yeah, he is. No, he definitely is.
Making a show about dogs now. Julian Clary,
and that's Julian Clary. Yeah.
Definitely started as a drag queen. Definitely. He was famous.
No, he was, and I think he definitely
was. He Dame Edna?
Oh, I'm actually thinking of someone else. I'm being so offensive, and I don't actually mean to be. It's not Julian Clary.
Here we go. Samuel L. Jackson and that guy again.
No, it's Freeman. Not Julian Clary, and it's not Dale Winton. It's another fella altogether. He used to do Coronation Street.
Who?
he used to he used to introduce Coronation Street, and I don't mean to be so bad.
What was his name?
What was his name? I can't remember. No, it's not Philip Schofield.
You know, he left UTV.
No, he didn't.
He did. He joined BBC.
I don't know about that.
Because he loves BBC.
Oh, don't start that now. That's not nice now. Oh, yeah, Julian Simmons. That was him. Julian Simmons.
Okay.
And that's why obviously
first name. Yeah, obviously.
That's obviously why I mixed him up with Julian Clary. But I want to know if is he gay now? Because I always thought he was.
Julian Simmons or Julian Clary?
Julian Simmons. It doesn't say on his bio.
The guy from Kiss.
No. He used to do like a Next Up Now on Coronation Street.
I know the guy you're talking about. Actually, fucking hell, when you said that, yeah. I always just presumed he was gay. He had loads of makeup on.
Yeah, like curly kind of blonde hair.
But like he was the guy back in the day when no one was openly gay. He was one of the guys you just presumed was gay, and you couldn't even tell your mum. Yeah.
Let me see.
Are you checking him out in Google? Like, what are you typing in? Like, what do you type in for something like that?
Well, this is it. I'm going to see. I don't.
Partner dead in swimming pool.
Do you know? Can you hear this?
No. No, I can't hear it. Are you playing the clip of him introducing?
Yeah, you can't hear it. No.
But put the clip up on the show.
Yeah, I put it up. He's basically saying, "Well, now, Deirdre." Maybe he was just from Northern Ireland.
No, I actually think, joking apart, I think you're right. I know the guy you're talking about. I always thought he was gay. I also thought Dale Winton was gay.
No, Dale Winton is gay.
Okay, I don't know if Julian Clary is or not. No, Julian Clary is a drag queen. I'm going to check anyway. Yeah, but drag queens were banned from the Gay Pride March.
Why is this?
Great. In Glasgow, because it was offensive to transgender people. That just is mind-boggling. It seems like if anything, I would have thought they were supporting it.
Gay drag queens were banned from transgender.
Were banned from taking part in the gay pride.
That makes no sense.
I agree. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I know.
I think it's politically correct. People gone crazy. Here's another crazy story. It's just a little snippet, but again, it gets you thinking. It's just a small little college. It's a campus in Chicago State University. There was a club. You know the way in college there's all these kind of clubs, you know, like social clubs and stuff. So in this Chicago State University, there was a club called the Christian Club, and they were found guilty of discrimination, and they had to change the rules of their club. Do you want to guess what it could be?
No straight people were allowed.
Good try. That at least would make some sense. It's even worse than that. They were found guilty of discrimination because they required their leaders to be Christian. They were a Christian club, remember. So they were forced to change the rules. That they couldn't force the leaders of the Christian club to be Christian.
Yeah, I get that. So the question really is here, should we be allowed to exclude people based on religion? That's a very tough question to answer. But if
the club is religion. Sorry, I'm just looking up at here. Julian Clary was Lily Savage, sorry, not Dame Edna.
Thanks
but
for that.
You must remember Lily Savage from when we were young.
I do. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Dame Edna was actually...
Dame Edna Everett was Barry Humphries.
Barry Humphries? Fuck off. The fat guy with glasses.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I didn't...
He's 83 and still alive. Or 86. Born in 1934.
86 doesn't seem that old to me. When David Bowie died, is it 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now, and he was like, 60-something? It seemed like fucking hell. I always thought David Bowie was old, but when I heard the age he was when he died, like, was he your uncle or whatever? It seems so young to me. In your 60s.
And you know what's amazing? He was actually stripped of his comedy award after his transphobic comments.
I never found David Bowie funny anyway. It was more.
No, this is
musician.
this is Barry Humphries. This is Barry Humphries.
All right.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff.
What was he stripped of?
His comedic award or whatever it was.
Why? What did he do?
He said something transphobic or something. I can't remember.
Even though he was,
I've gone off the screen.
Even though he was a drag queen.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe we can
Crazy.
research that for another show. But
yeah, I don't know. But it just feels like, again, we're not going to go down this road. But I think every fortnight we should just point out one or two just out there stories that just you scratch in your head. Like, how can a drag queen be banned from a gay pride march? How can a Christian club be forced to change its rules that its leaders don't have to be Christian?
Yeah, well, I guess that's what I'm saying. Should we discriminate against religion? So for the likes of sport or for a vote or for a job or for whatever it is, no, absolutely we should not. But should we respect religion so much that we don't discriminate against it? Because if you say to a Christian organization that you have to allow a Protestant or a Muslim or a Buddhist or whoever in, is that actually not having respect for the religion itself, and therefore that's discrimination? Does that make sense? I'm kind of coming about it in a backward way.
No, that's a fair point.
Well, let's break that down further. Like, I mean, the point.
Can I just leave you there for a moment, folks? I'll be back in a sec. You guys chat that out there.
Yeah. The point of the club was obviously it was a Christian club. Like, for that point, I am assuming that's
promoting
what
Christianity.
Christianity, right? So does that mean now that, say, for example, you're an Australian rules club, yeah? You're playing Australian rules football, and you can't discriminate because somebody wants to join the club and play soccer?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
if you push
football.
that to a
that's the point of the club, right?
Conclusion, yeah.
That's the point of the club, surely.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I would have thought, or America. Some guy turns up.
They should be allowed not discriminate, but they should be allowed decide who can join and who can't join. But nowadays, that's called discrimination.
Most clubs are discriminative in the fact that, like, they get the choice of who joins the club. Like the Christian church is exactly like that.
Well, I was just going to say, Bruno, I suppose my example there is America. One of the things that I know about Ireland is when you think of the anti-discrimination laws, it's on 7 grounds. None of those 7 grounds are religion. So you are allowed to discriminate in Ireland based on religion.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, you are. Which, I'm not religious, but that makes I accept that, because if you've a religious group, like what Bruno's saying, by definition, it's religious. You shouldn't have a Protestant in it.
Yeah, I don't think that's acceptable now, though. It might be the legal. It might be the legal stance on it, but I think that we'll see that law being changed. But
this is the point that, this is the question that was asked while you were gone there, right? Essentially, the point of the club was Christian to do Christian worship
teachings or worship
to be involved
or act or whatever,
to worship or to do Christian things, right? Does that mean that if you're playing Australian rules football, right, and you turn up and you say, no, I want to play English football, I want to play soccer, that's discriminatory. This club has to be allowed. You have to be allowed to do that, because the point of the club is to play Australian rules club football, right?
Well, what you're saying makes sense to me, but
I can see where you're going with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know, I mean,
the whole definition of Australian rules is that you obey Australian rules.
You don't want to do Christian things.
Yeah, it seems like you're just making
maybe people were trying to make a point. Yeah. Obviously,
there's no point in you going to that club. You're not going to enjoy any of it. It's not something you get involved in. Why should they change to suit your needs? Because you're not going to. You're not somebody who's availed of this service.
But this is my point, Bruno. You're right. But the law changed so that if you ever did decide, if you, for whatever reason, would want to join a Christian club, no matter what your religion is, you should be allowed to do it. So push that to its furthest logic. The NCCAP or whatever, the national, for the progress of black people in America. Can a white person join that? I'd love to know now.
Yeah, I believe they can.
Can they? Okay, well, that's good they can. But it would be weird that they do join it, I suppose. It seems
well, not really.
Yeah.
I think you're confusing two very, very different things. And you're trying to send me down a rabbit hole again.
I'm not trying to send you down a rabbit hole.
No. They're two. While you're saying, listen, what you're saying, I can see why you're drawing the connections to it. Absolutely, there's an obvious similarity there. But when you look in reality and social acceptance and what it should be, they're like chalk and cheese.
Okay, let me take a different example then. Let's say a group that promotes gay rights. Forget promotes gay rights, because I know
I
where you're coming
100%
from.
get what you're saying.
A
Why
gay
would somebody
group, right? A group of gay people. So a gay social group.
You're wrong again. Why would a straight person join that?
Exactly, but that's the point.
That's Bruno's point. That's Bruno's point. Why would you bother join it? Yeah.
You wouldn't bother. Like, the point of the thing is...
hold on.
This
are we
is for
talking?
gay people.
No. They're very different things.
I think you're wrong on this one, Goldie.
No. Are we talking about a gay social club, or are we talking about a gay club to promote gay rights?
No, a gay social club.
No.
Well, then that's different, because that's different to the other movement you were talking about. So when you're advocating for rights, it's actually stronger when somebody from across the tracks, so to speak, joins your side. I know
what you mean. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You would understand that, but like the point, and that's the point I'm trying to make.
Why do straight people
obviously
join
to be a member of this club, you have
social club?
If somebody said to be a member of this club, you have to be gay, because what we want.
But obviously, you don't, Bruno. That's the point anymore. You don't have to be gay. That's discrimination.
No, right. But the point of the club was obviously to meet up and discuss what issues they are as gay people having, but they can't now just have gay people discussing that.
That was the point of the club, Bruno, to be honest.
No, but like we know
but for whatever reason it is.
Yeah, no, I fully agree that if you're joining a club that is primarily for Christian worship or something to that effect, well then yes, you should have to be a Christian or somebody who wants to become a Christian.
Yeah,
something like that. But if you're from a different religion, what reason? And you're not thinking of converting,
except to cause trouble or whatever. Yeah.
It's just you don't really belong there, and that's not really discrimination.
And it's not.
I think there's a difference.
Yeah. There is.
But yet, whoever this it's a troublemaker is what you're saying, Goldie.
Yeah.
But this troublemaker won because that Christian, I think their name was the Christian Society. They probably even have to change.
Are you taking a piss, Charlie?
Jeez, can you hear that?
Yeah, are you taking a piss?
No.
You were washing the dishes earlier on, and now you're taking a piss. Unbelievable. That's what happens when you work from home, folks.
What could you hear?
I can hear you having a fucking piss.
Sorry about that, folks. There's more coming. It's like, how many times can you piss in a day? I'd win that one.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That reminds me of what I sent you earlier with the woman on the BBC where her daughter was in the background. I can't even flush it now because I'm embarrassed. But how accepting she was of her kid. Bruno, I don't know if you saw this. A woman was being interviewed by the BBC earlier. And her kid was she's obviously working from home, and her kid was in the background.
Washing his hands now. He's washing his hands. Don't forget to try them.
Her kid was in the background. And I don't know if you remember, about 2 years ago, there was a guy, he was an Asian correspondent for the BBC, and his kid came into the room when he was being interviewed.
Right.
And everyone thought the childminder followed the kid in to get the kid out, and it turned because the childminder was Asian. But he just kind of pushed his hand in the kid's face just to push the kid's face out of the picture. He didn't look at his kid. He just kept on with the interview, which in some ways
that could have been his wife. You assume it's the childminder, but it
was his wife. Yeah. I actually watched the whole interview today, ironically, because there was a link to it. And the interviewer says, "Is that your childminder?" And he's like, "No, that's my wife."
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Right. So the two kids came in, wasn't it? One was in a wheel or in a little pushchair type thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, the thing they sit in.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that.
Tommy Luca, rest in peace.
Yeah, no, I'm not laughing at that for that. I'm laughing because it's obviously we have a very close connection to that. But
we raised a lot of money for that. Yeah,
we did. But no, I remember the kid just flies in. Yeah, very, very funny. Yeah. But he got criticised for the way he handled it, and obviously the one today on Sky News or wherever it was, BBC News, she handled it very well. She just acted as if, this is normal. She acknowledged that, her child is kind of interrupting what's supposed to be happening, but she dealt with it very well at the same time.
I also thought the interviewer dealt with it very well, because he asks, like, oh, what's your daughter's name? So things have changed. Like, I know we argue a lot about, and I feel the world has gotten worse in the last 2 months because we've become too politically correct. But in some ways, it's become better in the last year, because the way...
Yeah, there's some things like that are compassionate. And it's amazing, because that child, obviously, when she's older, our age or whatever, will always have that video, and it'd be a lovely thing to have.
Yeah.
But no, and I think it's funny, because I was on a Zoom call or meeting or course there last week. And it was funny because the person giving the course was actually... very conscious of that. So if a baby walked into the room, they would address it. They wouldn't pretend it wasn't there, because then what happens is everybody starts laughing in the background. But what they do is he's like, oh, who's the thing? Say hello. What's their name? Whatever. Then if there was a dog, and I was just so conscious, like a dog walk into the room and be like, oh, what's the dog's name? I think, this didn't happen on our call, but he said there was like a snake a few weeks ago and something else. Do you know what I mean? He's seen some crazy stuff. But I think actually acknowledging it is definitely the right way to do it, because it actually draws focus back, because otherwise people are kind of laughing and looking at other people's reactions. And I think if you just address it head on, it's a lot more compassionate, understanding, but it actually keeps it focused.
But having said that, I think in a lot of meetings I was in last month, people started bringing their dogs in, having their dogs sitting on their lap. And I thought it got to a ridiculous stage. I mean,
because now it's got to the stage
walks into the room by accident. Yeah, they're shown off, or they're looking for a way to distract the conversation. When you're doing a Zoom meeting with your boss or whatever it is for work, you want to get in and you want to get out. But having dogs in, it's like what you're saying. There's a need now to recognize that. You don't ignore the fact that, someone has a dog in their lap. So
but that's it. You're right. Name? You're spot on, Charlie. You're spot on. We're actually, and I'm sure there's got to be some psychology around this. What's actually happening is people are showing off now, and it's before where you could probably use other methods to get the boss's attention or to gain an advantage in some way, shape, or form. And I think you all know what I talk about when I put that into an office environment or a work environment. People are always, subtly trying to show they're better than those people around us, but will never actively admit it. But it's just little things you do, and I think that's becoming. You're right. That's the new fashion trend. It's the new way to exceed, definitely. And it just got to be psychology around that.
Maybe, yeah.
Hopefully we can see that for our next show. Definitely very interesting. I have a story here, Charlie. And I hope we have we finished with your...
Yeah, definitely. It's gone well. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to kind of go back to the sex a little bit, but this is actually a genuine story that we would have on our show. Soon-to-be groom left freaked out by fiancés like Beyoncé's, fiancé's family wedding night ritual. I'll read it out again. Soon-to-be groom left freaked out by fiancé's family's wedding night ritual. So basically, it's Ron Seal. It's what it says on the tin. A fellow was getting married to his missus, and got freaked out when he found out that his family have a ritual on their wedding night. Now, immediately, I don't know what's going through you guys' heads, but he said that his wife's family were huge, very warm and caring people, and
huge.
They were like a huge extended family, so it was a really like lots of cousins, aunts and uncles, right. Like it was a big family, but they were very warm and caring people, right? And they actually all got on very well with the groom. So they're both 23 years of age. They planned a ceremony for next year, and when the arrangements were kind of getting made, he noticed that his girlfriend's cousins start making jokes about their wedding night. And you can imagine the scene where they start making like innuendo and having a little pop, and he kind of thought that was a bit weird. So then they were kind of looking at bridal suites and stuff like that, and the wife said, "Listen, we can save money because we obviously don't need a bridal suite for the night of our wedding." And he's like, well, "What do you mean?" He says, "Oh yeah, because obviously we'll be at my parents' house." Right? So he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" But he says that this is a tradition that the family has, right? The husband and wife would go into the master bedroom together in the family home, right? and they're supposed to consummate the marriage.
So that would be like the parents' bedroom.
Yes. So then the rest of the family are waiting outside the door, right? So they can applaud them and cheer them when they come out, right? And then a piece of the bed sheet is cut off and sewn into a big tapestry that his girlfriend's mother owns, his mother-in-law, basically. So like he's like, what the fuck? I'm not having nothing to do with this. This is fucking mental. And he's right. It is fucking mental.
Hold on a sec. You were the best man at my wedding. You pretty much described my wedding.
No, but like that wasn't intentional.
Is this a sly dig?
No, this is genuine. This is genuine news. Yours
this
was more natural.
This guy and his wife were virgins, were they?
No, they weren't
Presumably.
virgins. No, but they were consummating the marriage.
So they'd never been with each other before?
No, of course they have. Fuck's sake. But it was just...
I'm missing the point here. Sorry. I'm missing the point.
The point is that when it was his family's tradition that when you got married, that night you'd have sex and the family would stay outside the door.
In his parents' bedroom.
Yeah, and they'd clap. And this is a family tradition. And then they'd use the sex fucking quilt from the bed. They have a sex blanket, basically, of everyone in the family who had sex on the first night. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So,
and then it's all... a bit of it is cut off and joined to some quilt where...
To a quilt,
like first night quilt or whatever.
Quilt, yeah. And it's a family fucking tradition. I'm like, that's amazing.
In some ways, it's lovely, actually. It's embracing sex.
He started getting...
It's
just
weird
to finish
to
the story off.
your...
Before we go into it, Charlie, we finish the story off. He basically was getting abused from the family, getting texts saying that... from her mother saying that she didn't understand the importance of family and tradition and all this kind of stuff. And it had been around longer than he was alive. So it's just fucking crazy. Would you do it?
With your wife's family outside the door?
Not my wife's family, your wife's family outside the door. And they're going to clap you.
I'd love to do it with your wife's family outside the door.
That would
be the danger. That would be the danger, though, isn't it?
True,
you'd be really quiet. I don't know. It's so strange. Like, I would love the thought of having sex with you outside the door. Do you know what I mean? Because you'd be egging it up. You'd be making extra noise.
Personally?
You personally, Goldie, yeah. Because you're thinking,
like homosexual sex.
No. With you outside the door. So you're listening to me.
All right, I thought you...
Let's say I sent you a video of me getting someone to finger their ass or whatever and me wanking. I'd love the thought of you watching that. Knowing that it's...
I did about like an hour ago.
2 hours ago, whatever. But because it's blood... So you're saying it's family, which you can be far more open with your friends than you can be with your family.
I can see what you're saying. So you'd love it more than me being on the other side of the door listening and then clapping.
Yeah, whereas I wouldn't want the family.
Give me a little clap.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was family, I'd be very awkward. Yeah, I'd be as quiet as a mouse. It'd be like having sex in jail, probably.
Yeah, it's a strange old tradition, isn't it? What about... listen, there's a part of me that wants to be a bit bravado and say, invite them into the fucking room. Do you know what I mean? But in reality, would I do it? I'd probably do it, yeah, because I'd recognize, like, this guy, that this is fucking absolutely fucked up. I would. I'd say, this is fucking mental. But I would embrace it. I absolutely would embrace it, and I'd have fun with it, and I'd probably... in my own way, abuse the tradition somehow. But I would. I'd make a mockery of the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? But I think I would do it because I love tradition. I think tradition and family is amazing, and I get very passionate about tradition.
Can you imagine if this family had just made it up that it was a tradition? It's like a big sting,
just to freak him out. Maybe in a few weeks we'll actually hear that because I don't know. He hasn't married her yet.
It was a way of passing. Oh, he's saying he has to do it, but he hasn't done it yet.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
yeah, he hasn't done it yet. Steve-O, welcome to the show. It's great to hear from you. We're about to move on to our next story.
Ahead. Bite the bullet. I mean, what's he got to lose? You're saying they're not virgins. They've been with each other, so
exactly. Just embrace it. If you have to have sex with your family listening, and you're going to get applauded when you come out, and that's what it costs to marry your wife, the one you love.
And look, I'd imagine most couples that have gotten married, the night of your wedding is not a sex night anyway. It's not a big sex night. You know.
Yeah, most you're knackered. You're knackered from actually entertaining.
You're talking to people you haven't spoken to in years.
Yeah, and you're up to crack of dawn,
presumably for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this
Bruno,
idea,
I
we're
suppose
going back to a previous generation where I think, not like, let's be honest, our parents probably did have sex before they got married. So we're going back a long time where we have this idea that the wedding night is consummation, as to use your word, like it's the first time they were with the person.
Well,
so that's
I think
not,
there's a different meaning to the word consummate now. Before it would have been the case of this is the first time that they've made love. But I think you can still use that word today in 2020 for meaning that they are, tying the wedding together or such, or tying their bond or whatever. There is a special element to it.
Do you still hear that word
Steve
used?
has left us. Do I what? Sorry?
Who's left us?
Steve has just left us there. Steve has left us. Bruno, I suppose you don't have an issue with this at all, because given the fact, that you have multiple partners, it wouldn't be an issue for you, for your family to be outside the door.
Well, normally when I'm having sex, there is somebody either in the room or at the door. You know what I mean? Like
So whether it's your family or not.
There's been more than one occasion where I've had somebody banging on the door because trying to get in to get their wife. You know what I mean? It's not the weirdest thing in the world for me. As I say, like that,
sure,
like that, yeah. And let's be fair about it as well. Like most nights when you're with your partner, or I suppose when you're younger, the likelihood is you were in the parents' house doing it with them outside the fucking room. They just didn't realize you were in there doing that.
Exactly, and who didn't masturbate to their parents having sex either?
Hold on a sec, Goldie. Hold on. Out of the three of us, hold on. So, Bruno, did you have sex with a partner while their parents were in the house when you were younger? Yeah. So, like, you brought your girlfriend up to a bedroom and you're supposedly just chilling, listening to music or whatever. But you might be having full sex even. But yeah, you did that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Goldie. No point asking you.
In their house and our house. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the nervousness and the excitement of it, isn't it? It's half and half.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's all well and good until the guards arrive, until the cops arrive.
And they're like, you can't be doing that. You're teaching in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, interesting stuff. All right.
Now, Goldie, you were saying, who of us has not wanked to our parents having sex? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say me.
Okay, maybe not wanked, but certainly heard it.
Oh yeah. But the thought of it is kind
and then got sexually aroused.
No, definitely not. It's kind of the opposite of sexually aroused.
Okay.
I love thinking of like my mum's friends, even though I don't know any of my mum's friends. But I'd love to, like, when I'm sometimes going to wank and I think, oh, I'm fucking my mum's friend here, even though I don't know.
When you were younger, you mean?
Still, like today, serious conversation.
Yeah,
but
well,
no,
I would about your
mum and
mum's sister.
having sex.
I do that about your mother's sister all the time.
Oh yeah, I still do too. I just saw her last week. She's still hot, like.
Yeah, I know she is. How old is she now?
She's really hot. She must be nearly 50. She's really hot.
She's not in her 60s at all.
No. My mum was one of the oldest. She was one of the youngest. There was 15 kids. She'd only be she'd be 50. Let's say. Yeah, she's really hot. But
she is.
The thought of my mum and dad having sex.
Can we get a picture of her up? Up for the viewers.
But the thought of my mum and dad having sex. That's like, you know, the way something that will get your erection down.
Yeah.
Gotta be honest, that would, for me, be a disincentive for sex. Okay. Is that just me, Bruno, or
maybe it's just me? Maybe it's just me.
I'd imagine. I'm hoping it's you.
I don't know. I don't know if it counts, but it'd be more like a case of, like, I heard that, and I'd be like, oh fuck, I've been exposed to that, and then I'd have to go out and have rage sex.
What the hell is rage sex?
Yeah, like, I mean, just like. Well,
we're going to talk about rage sex.
Angry sex, because you.
We talked about this 2 weeks ago, didn't we? Goldie spent ages doing it.
Quite potentially. Yeah, we won't.
So whilst it wasn't that actually turned you on, it was that actually initiated you going out and having sex in the first place. So is there a difference?
I suppose you're saying it was the catalyst.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gone out and had angry sex if you hadn't come across it yet.
Yeah, your parents having sex.
Yeah.
I
no.
I actually probably never heard my parents having sex.
You
Not that
had
I
a
can
big
think
enough
of.
house, to be fair.
So did you then hear your parents? Yeah.
I just got a message there from Charlie. Yeah, she's the actual image of your mother. But like
Oh man,
literally,
we need a lot of therapy sessions together, the two of us.
literally a younger version of your mother. She's so hot. I'd love it. I'd love it.
God love it. Which are you saying? God love her or I love it?
Can I send it on to Bruno there?
Absolutely.
Oh, jeez,
Absolutely.
lovely.
Yeah.
Right, and
Trust me, the amount of times I
see
wanked over, Bruno. The amount of times I wanked over.
Right.
Literally, like in the last week, probably, yeah.
Yeah,
And
Right.
I tell you, I was up last week. She was giving me stuff for my kids, a study desk, and she rubs up against me, and her tits are rubbing up against me. I get an instant erection, and I'm holding my mum's hand at the same time. It was just crazy. It was so fucking surreal. And I know you think I'm laughing, but I'm actually not, because my mum's going through a bad time, so it was holding her hand. Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, we appreciate
Weeks,
her.
Oh,
weeks
wait,
of material.
This is your
This is his aunt.
your aunt.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She's pretty hot.
Did you think that was my mum?
No, it's your obviously your mother's sister. You keep describing her as your mother's sister, but it's your aunt.
It's the
is gonna
same
be
fucking
awkward.
thing.
Yeah, I know, but like it's a bit long to be going mother's sister. You could just say your aunt. Like it is that easier. This may
said
be a
my
little
aunt.
bit
It was a
embarrassing,
bit
but I have
dirty,
had sex with that woman. So it's every bit as good as you imagine. It's every bit as good as you imagine.
I never knew. I thought when she said she was going to Club 18, she was going to a nightclub.
Yeah. No, it was 18 to get in, all right, but she was definitely 18, all right.
I'd say so.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah, shit. That I suppose that's the problem with living on a small island. Like you get around. There's all statistically, it's likely I'm probably
I
related.
feel closer to you, Bruno. I feel like we've a
You're
connection
probably
there.
we're probably related, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Uncle. Yeah, I feel like you should call you
your
uncle.
father. He could be your father at this rate, for fuck's sake.
He's been like a father to me compared to my dad.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, we're going to get a little bit back on track. Charlie, we're over 2 hours into the show, and we've so much more to give. Have you any
we
final
just record a
stories?
new show?
No,
Well,
we
I've
won't.
only done 2 stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, give us something else.
Sorry.
We'll do a long show. Do you an endurance race?
Okay. Do you think, when you've been dying to do a piss,
Yeah.
what happens?
You do it live on air, right?
You do it, don't you? You can't hold it back. You wet yourself.
You literally do it live on air, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Apparently not, if you're drinking alcohol. A guy
Explain.
last month, his bladder exploded after a night out drinking for 18 hours. So I would have thought, my impression is you reach a stage where you just can't hold it in anymore and you just piss yourself. But apparently that's not true if you've passed out. So the medical experts are saying this happens at least once a year in any hospital, where someone's bladder explodes because they've been out in a night out. They've gotten so drunk that they've gone to sleep, but I suppose in reality they've kind of passed out. And they
actually can't piss in their sleep.
I don't know. I would have thought you could piss in your sleep. I don't know, because babies do. But this guy's bladder exploded. Now, I do want to clarify this. This is a Chinese man that this happened to last month. I don't want to say this because I'm totally anti-drinking and anti-alcohol. And you know me, Goldie, for years. This Chinese man passed out. He had drank 10 bottles of beer. Now, bottle as in a 330 ml bottle. So that doesn't strike me as a huge amount in this day and age. But he drank 10 bottles of beer. He passed out and his bladder exploded. He nearly died.
That's unbelievable. And I think, 10 bottles of beer, assuming they're normal bottles, would be pretty standard.
Yeah, like
for,
a bottle, a standard bottle. So it's like nearly half a pint. So it's like 6 pints.
I don't want to be a racist or a discriminator or anything other than that, but I think there's certainly a myth, whether it's true or not, there's certainly a myth that Asian people just do not handle their drink as well. So maybe it could be something got to do with that. Is there some biological reason? Maybe they don't drink it as much as kind of the Western world would. And had that something got to do with it? Because I know I've had a lot of Asian friends throughout the years, and it would be well known that when they had a pint, after like half a pint even, they would go extremely red and their body would react to it a lot quicker than it would for I or any other kind of Westerner that would be in our company. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, are you talking about physical size or?
No, I'm talking about just there's obviously something I think anyway, and from my experiences, and there's definitely the myth about it, that they don't drink as much alcohol, so therefore they can't handle it as well as we can. So maybe the 10 bottles was just too much for that particular fella's system because he was Asian and whatever the evolutionary reasons for that are. Does that make sense? I'm not being too controversial there, I hope.
No. Are you saying like that we're more evolutionary evolved?
I'm not saying more. I'm just saying, the fact that we are huge consumers of alcohol. I don't even know who set that clap up because it wasn't me. But because we would naturally drink more as a part of, we actually have a worse diet than than Asian people. So because of that, maybe our tolerance levels are higher. Do you know? It's all about your history.
Possibly. It apparently, the biological side of it is that when you're drinking though, like, so if you drank, let's say, the equivalent of 10 bottles of water, your bladder won't explode. Whatever it is about beer, it puts you into, let's say, a kind of comatose state. Like, we've all known this, and we've all known people who've been in it. It's not just that they're asleep; they're out of it when they're drunk.
Yeah, but you would come across a lot of them that would have already pissed themselves. Do you know what I mean? So it's obviously another. And if you've ever seen
at that stage, had they?
They hadn't passed out at that stage. Well, no. I think what Bruno or what Charlie is saying is that they had actually completely passed out. They lost control of their bodily functions, and their brain couldn't even remember to urinate, and therefore the bladder exploded.
But Goldie, if you lose control, like when we die, we all piss ourselves and we shit ourselves. That's the reality. That's when you lose control of your bodily functions. This Chinese man must have still somehow been in control to hold in his bladder.
Welcome, Bajo, to the show. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He was actually a different level. So when you get drunk and you pass out, you obviously when you're in that state, you remember to breathe. Your heart remembers to beat. So your bladder remembers to release urine. So a lot of people would actually urinate. But what you're saying is in this particular case, it didn't, because he'd actually gone into another degree as such of unconsciousness, another level of unconsciousness.
Yeah.
What's going on there? Is somebody flushing toilets or what's happening?
No, I went earlier. But in fairness, whoever is going to the toilet, they're not going to end up like that lad. It's an object lesson. Because
exactly. So you're saying, and did he die? He didn't die from this?
He could have died. This is horrific. His bladder exploded. It happens once a year in any hospital, so I presume that's around the world. And if they don't get it in time, so your bladder explodes, which means part of your intestines can leak out. It's too disgusting to even think about. But if they don't get you in time, you will die. But this guy didn't die. No, they sew it back up. When I say it explodes, like this guy, it bursts in 3 places. So the whole thing was still probably holding. It was still functional.
I say it's a horrible. Zaldin, welcome to the show. Bajo, Anki, welcome.
Did you hear that Poland invaded the Czech Republic last month?
No, I did not. Tell me about that.
Neither did I. But it happened, and it was an accident. Quote, a minor understanding, to quote the Polish government. Soldiers on the Polish border in a village known as Pilgrzymów Okay, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Pilgorzymo.
We get it. Come on, tell us the story.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling it to you. Trying to delay it out here because we want to get a long
Bruno,
show.
can you settle down, Bruno? We're getting a bit of feedback from you. Not
there's someone eating crisps. Who is that? Is that you, Goldie?
It's not me.
It's
I
2
look after
fucking
my
hours.
figure.
It's just work for 2 hours without eating. Come on.
Okay, so tell me all about it, Charlie. Charlie, so Poland invaded the Czech Republic. Talk to me. Bruno.
What?
Are you fidgeting around there? Yeah, what are you doing?
No.
It was with very clear reasons.
Charlie, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Tell me about, you're making this out to be very unprofessional now. I know we're 2 hours in. It's a long show, but try keep a little bit of focus. So
I didn't do anything there. I was talking. Could you not hear me?
No, tell me all about it.
Neither of us could.
You told us that they invaded. What happened? It was an accident.
So, you didn't hear me then saying that, during the lockdown, most EU countries closed their borders.
Yes.
Yeah. So they wouldn't let anyone in unless it was for a specific reason, like presumably trade or whatever. So you couldn't just cross the border to visit your aunt or whatever. So soldiers in the Polish border, in a village known as Pilgrimów, they established their border control posts in the wrong position. Now this is what just fucked me up. So I can understand, like if you think of the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland, I think of it in terms of roads you drive on. So there's the road.
Not an actual checkpoint or such. I just got a message there privately to say that it was. It's not the Czech Republic. It's Czechia. Czechia is the official name for it now.
Really?
Apparently so.
Czechia, as opposed to Czechoslovakia. No, sorry, Czechoslovakia is when we were kids. Okay, so Czechia.
Well, that's a different story altogether. Yeah.
Yeah. But like if we travel up north, right? In the olden days, in the 80s, you would reach a point on the road where there was a checkpoint. So you knew it would say you're now entering Northern Ireland. You're now leaving the Republic.
Yeah, well, you'd know from the army, but yeah.
Yeah,
you also know even for the colour of the road markings change.
Yeah, exactly. The post boxes, everything. If let's be honest, Bruno, if you're travelling to Wexford, you would see a sign saying you're now entering Wexford County. At some point there's a marker.
Oh, absolutely.
So
but what you're talking about, back in the day, there was actually an army there. So what you're saying, you're envisaging crossing the border.
Forget the army though. There's what I just mean is there's a kind of...
There is a sign. Yeah, there's an indication.
Yeah, there's a sign.
We get it.
And it's on a road. I understand if you're crossing in a field, I can get that there's no distinction between the field that's in Poland and there's...
Yes.
So that's my point.
Yeah.
Would you be patient, Goldie? So what I'm saying is, it's only on the roads that you'd expect there to be a defined border, per se. Okay? Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is what confused me about these soldiers. The soldiers put their post in the wrong location. I would have thought there's a permanent border location between Poland and Czechoslovakia or whatever it's called. I would have thought it doesn't move day in, day out. If it's on some kind of roadway, when someone finishes their shift at 10 p.m., they're replaced by another Polish soldier.
Absolutely.
And the border remains the same.
Yeah, of
the
course
border doesn't move.
Yeah, but there was no real need for that border up until that point. We were in Europe where everyone is happy as Larry.
This is exactly what I'm saying. This is exactly what I'm saying. Free movement, yeah. So during the coronavirus, they obviously had to clarify the border, but they didn't clarify it clearly enough so that soldiers moved the border.
Yeah, but it's not like it was going to prompt a war now, was it?
Well, it did. This is it. This is what we don't know about.
You're telling us that Poland
it didn't. No, it didn't. So the border was closed due to the coronavirus. But the Polish guards, so they moved the border wrong. They encroach onto Czech territory. And there was when they moved the border, they moved it so much so that suddenly a Czech church, a church that had been in the Czech Republic, was now suddenly in the Polish Republic. And loads of people were trying to go to mass that day or whatever. And they were trying to walk to the church, but they were suddenly stopped by these Polish soldiers. So all these Czech civilians were stopped by Polish soldiers, and they couldn't
you
go
can
to the
imagine
church.
the panic. You can imagine the panic.
It caused the panic. Now, it's become a joke since, and the Czech Republic said they immediately sent an official, statement to the Polish, et cetera, et cetera. They're both laughing about it now. But
I don't think they're laughing now. I'd be sending an envoy if that was me.
Well, they say it's like they say no harm was meant, etc., etc. If you check the official statements online, the Polish government, interestingly, says they did not receive any official complaint from the Czech Republic, whereas the Czech Republic say they did officially complain. Yada yada.
It's just
both of them are laughing it off. Yeah, both of them are laughing as a joke. But it got me thinking.
Bruno, sorry, Charlie. Bruno is a well-travelled man. Bruno, have you ever been to the Czech Republic? We've all been to Poland. Let's be honest about it. Okay, but have you been to the Czech Republic?
I have.
You have. And what kind of country is it? Is it laid back? Is it a case that they just didn't give a shit if they were being invaded, or was it a case of, they're like us, they'll have a bit of crack and a bit of banter?
Yeah, they're fairly sound. They're nice. Went there for Christmas. They have a lot of sex clubs.
Okay.
It was in Prague. That was in.
Which is, of course, the capital. Yeah.
Yeah. And very cheap stuff there.
Actually, I think I'm holding right now something from that. Effectively, am I? I'm holding in my hand, and we talked about it on the show last month. The Clona Willy, medium skin tone. Now, is it my understanding that while you're on this trip, you were going to purchase this for me, but declined to do so?
No, that was Oslo, in Norway.
That was Oslo, Norway. Yeah. As I said, a well-travelled man. So
Bruno,
you think that the Czech people are actually fairly laid back? You think they're fairly liberal? They have a lot of sex shops,
and I think it's.
That's a good indication.
I harbor a guess is that they have a lot of sex.
Yeah. Good.
For them. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. We're going to move on. We're long overdue in this show, but we're going to move on to another story that I have here. And it's kind of sexually related again. It's a sexual show tonight, folks. Woman with UK's biggest lips makes £5,000 sterling each month by financially degrading men. Now, that's obviously going to grab your attention straight away. We've heard of women who take photographs of their feet and who send people their used knickers and stuff like that. We've all heard those stories. Okay,
some of us have bought them. Yeah,
some of us has bought them, and you can understand that we all have mad fetishes. Okay, and you can understand that getting used underwear from a woman can be kind of sexy. Like, do you know what I mean? You can understand why that would be the case. But in this case, financially degrading men. Now, what does that mean to you? What if I was to say you were after being financially degraded by that woman? What would you think?
Do you want to go, Bruno?
I would assume that it's making fun of their ability to earn and how much they have earned. Okay,
and Charlie.
Yeah, I'd say that it was financial. So just to be different from Bruno, I'd say that they're saying that you couldn't afford me. You want me so much, but you couldn't afford me.
Okay, you're both actually wrong, but potentially from a psychology point of view, you could actually be right in a way. But initially, you're wrong. If this was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you'd be going home, right?
Right.
So her name is Sophia. Okay, she's from Lancashire, and she funds her plastic surgery by posing for saucy photos online and carrying out men's unusual requests. So she has these massive lips. She is white. She is a trans woman, I believe. I believe she's actually a trans woman. So she was originally a man turned woman, and she does all these crazy poses for them. She wants to do all this crazy plastic surgery. She modeled herself on. That guy Peter something in Pete Burns.
Cleary. Pete Cleary.
No, Pete Burns in England. Big fucking lips, like fake silicone lips, fake cheeks, all the basically
it's Pete
plastic
Burns
surgery. Or us. Pete Burns is a man, yeah. That's who she modeled herself on. But she says it's not cheap. It's not cheap to get this kind of surgery. So what she's doing is posing for photos. And what's happening now is she started off escorting. Then she quickly realized that there's a whole world of financial domination whereby men willingly send money to a dom. So that's what she is. She's the dom. And cash pigs and cash slaves. So there's these people out here who are probably, I'd imagine a lot of them are multimillionaires, but you'd probably imagine that there's some fucking weirdos out there who probably don't even have a job or sending her money. And like she literally says to somebody, I want you to send me £1,700. Get up now, empty your bank account and send me it. And people are doing it. And they're getting sexual pleasure from that. And like she's getting sent money, she's getting sent, people have bought cars for her, and they're getting sexual gratification from actually.
I didn't buy her a car. Hold on. No, I want to clarify a couple of things here.
No, I obviously don't mean you, but it's mental.
Isn't that marriage?
She's basically getting all the benefits of marriage here. She's getting all the fucking money she wants, and she's just reaping it. It's just amazing.
So, Goldie, to look at it from the man's perspective, are you saying the men are getting off on being kind of abused for their money? So, like, a man might pay for a prostitute, but in this scenario, they're not even getting to have sex with her.
They're not getting any. No. So basically, she says, my mind was blown, and I've not looked back since. Just this morning, I woke up to a text from a guy asking me if there's anything he'd like me to do today. So this is obviously a guy who's, you have to imagine it's wealthy people. I'm sure there are some fucking people out there who don't have the money to be doing this, it's just their thing. But I'd imagine this is a wealthy thing. It's probably a status thing to say, look how much money I have. I can do this. And she says, yes, start by emptying your bank account into mine, and I want you to write lines saying, I must obey Goddess Sophia lips. And he sent me 1,700 sterling, and it's still writing the lines. So the men aren't getting physical satisfaction from this. It's all psychological.
So this is a kind of a thing, I guess, that they are hyper successful in life and need to feel failure or like that somebody's better than them.
It seems so whoever's messing with the plastic there, Bruno, will you stop taking out the cupcakes or whatever it is you're fucking at? Or Charlie, whoever it is. Charlie, whoever it is. Leave the plastic alone. Yeah, but that's basically it. Maybe they just need to feel some humiliation in life because they don't get it anywhere else.
Because they're so successful and so good at everything else they do.
Yeah.
They need at some stage to feel like failures.
Well, isn't it amazing that people would do that? Like, no matter how much money you have, why would you do something like that? You know, it's just crazy. Like you see people paying, as I said, for the knickers and stuff like that. But you actually, you're physically getting something there at least. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this is just like giving your money away. And I'd love if people would do that for me. Well, sign me up where I can actually.
But Goldie, you're always saying
get a text from somebody every day saying, "What can I do for you today?"
Thrill. You're always saying we got to keep pushing it. There's always the next level. This is obviously.
Yeah, Charlie, you need to settle down. Whatever you're doing there, you need to settle down, buddy. Yeah,
I'm just sitting down.
Yeah, that's it. And is that where we're going next? Are we going to get to that stage next where we're actually pushing the boundaries so far for that thrill that we're doing crazy shit like this? It's insane. What do you think, Charlie?
What I don't get is she doesn't show them her body or anything. It's literally she. So first, there's no nudity or whatever
she's
involved.
She's literally
really.
just getting texts off lads saying she started off with the photographs and escorts and stuff like that, but then she's just getting texts off these lads asking her what she wants, and she milks them, and they're getting satisfaction from it. It's just beggars belief.
For a fuckster, but if that's working for her, now it defies any kind of logic to you or me because you want a payoff at the end, don't you? But it could be like what Bruno's saying. What do you do if you have everything and you have all the money in the world?
Yeah.
And
I just don't understand how the guys get a
nobody
sexual
challenges you
kind of
ever.
thrill out of it.
Nobody challenges you in life in reality, and everything else you do, you're so successful that life is not even a challenge. They need to feel loss or humiliation or failure on that level
Yeah.
in order to be success.
But at
Or in
what
order
point do they
The
wank? Like, do they wank when they see that the money has gone from their bank?
Yeah, when the
Because
bank
we're
account
guessing there's a
transfers.
sexual, well, yeah, wank account. Because there is obviously a sexual dimension for the men. If there isn't for
yeah,
her, there is for the men. So they wank at some point in the transaction. If that's what
Yeah,
you're saying, and Bruno, you're saying
they
like that,
must. They
you've got
must.
to. Yeah. So I'd love to know, but what man will admit to that though?
Well, that's it. You're not going to get concrete answers on it, but you can well believe that this stuff exists, and the world is an absolutely crazy place. And who are we to judge? I suppose what people do
Yeah.
with their money and what they actually get off on, because there's things that I get off on that I'm sure would probably shock a lot of people.
Wow.
And
Okay.
there's no, but I'm sure we all have
Say,
that. We all have our little unique
no.
things. No, I know you
Not
do.
me or Bruno, probably.
No, well, I can guarantee you do. So yeah,
Was
who
it
am I to
you that
judge?
said on this show that there was some woman in China or Japan that just eats? She just eats like, then that's it, and
Yes,
people pay her.
yes, yeah. There is. I think it was an Asian woman, all right, and she literally will go onto YouTube or some other kind of social media platform, and people will tell her what she has to eat, and she'll eat it and get paid a shitload of money for it. It's like food porn. It's the world is
But
crazy, but
there
listen,
was a sexual dimension to that for the people, obviously.
Oh,
paying her, yeah.
some people found that very, very attractive.
It's
yeah,
fucked up. Like I get, but again, we shouldn't.
Is
Like
it
what you're
fucked
saying,
up? We should
shouldn't.
accept it.
Yeah,
We
it's
should
not.
accept it.
We should accept it, shouldn't we? Everyone has their own
absolutely.
different fetish. It just seems
Yeah.
fucked up to us.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
and I'm sure that's what I'm saying. Stuff that we like probably seems fucked up to other people. I've just got one more story before we move into the kind of entertainment section. And it's not sexual. You might find some kind of sexual reference here, but it's not intended to be.
Well, I might find it sexual.
Have you heard of the shopping trolley theory?
No.
So basically, this is a theory that claims to determine if you are good or a bad person. And people have been left divided over a theory which claims that your behavior at the end of a food shop is the ultimate litmus test, which determines whether you're a good or bad person. So I think you probably know where I'm going with this. You go to shops, you go get your trolley, okay? You might use a token, you might use a euro or a franc or whatever country you're in, right? Put a dime in it, and you go in, you do your shopping, you come out, you get to your car, and then you have this decision to make. Do I wheel the trolley back to the trolley zone, or do I fucking leave it here, get in my car, and fuck off home? And they're saying it's the ultimate test because there's no law that says you have to do it. There's no punishment if you don't do it. It's a clean, sterile example of whether you're a good person or not. So, firstly, the question, I guess, is what's your thoughts on it? And secondly, what do you do in those circumstances?
is it not more likely that you're a scabby bastard because you want your euro back?
That is the other element, and obviously and this is probably indicative of where we are with society, that it got to the point where so many people weren't arsed bringing their trolley back that we incentivized bringing your trolley back by getting your euro back. And I think it worked. I'm sure there's data there today that worked tremendously. But then it comes a point where, you say to yourself, fuck it, it's only a euro. I couldn't be arsed walking 100 meters over there. Or if it's pissing rain, fuck it, I'm just going to abandon it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's €2, isn't it?
It can be euro,
Depends.
it can be €2.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, in one shop I know it's a euro, and in a couple of others I know it's two. So yeah, it depends.
Regardless of what it is.
No, we need to clarify this, Goldie.
Well, let's say it's €2. So let's go to the maximum value. What? Let's not even speculate here. What do you actually do when you go shopping?
I always return my trolley. Yeah.
Why?
But it's probably like Bruno said, I'm going to get my €2 back for the sake of 10 seconds.
Okay.
Bruno, so I'd always leave it back. It's not being a good citizen. It's just to get the money back.
So I guess if the question is then, if it was free, if you didn't have to put a token in, if you didn't have to put a euro in, what would you do?
I would have brought it back.
Probably, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's not because what I realize or what I would say is that when I am actually as you're driving to the shop, if somebody's left the trolley in one of the spots, like you have to get out, you have to move it. The idea of me doing that to somebody else pisses me off because, like, I mean, like, why would it pissed me off that somebody was too lazy to bring their fucking trolley back? So it inconvenienced me. Why would I do that to somebody else?
But that would make you more likely not to do it because you're so pissed off that someone did it. You'll just be more likely to say, well, fuck it. They didn't do it for me. I won't do it for the next
Well,
person.
no, I think Bruno's coming here from an idealistic point of view that, if he does the right thing, more people will. And this is what he would like done for him.
Yeah, but you've
Do you know
seen
what I mean?
Dark, Goldie. Everything is preordained. If you come along and someone before you has left the trolley in the middle of the car park, you can't change that person's behavior. So why would you bother trying to change the next person's?
I guess because that's some people are optimists and some people live with hope. And some people believe that if everyone does the right thing, the world will be a better place. And that's something that people kind of cling to, I think.
So what did the study show?
It's just a theory. Some people believe the theory to be absolutely true, with one replying, I'm laughing at the people who are like, but I'm a decent person, and sometimes I don't feel like putting my cart back. That's the whole point, you inconsiderate, selfish jerk. It does say something about your character. If you're too lazy to do something so small. So if you can't even be arsed bringing it all the way back, how good are you going to be to society? And people just can't admit to themselves that they're inconsiderate when they do it. I'll be honest with you. I would mostly bring it back. I would believe in that philosophy that it's the right thing to do and blah, blah, blah. And having probably come from a background that involves trolleys at one point, I would be very much of that opinion. But I will admit that there has been the odd occasion where I would say, fuck it. And I can't think of one in particular, but I know I have. And it could have been just because I was in bad humor that day. It could have been because the rain was pissing rain, or I could have been so far away, or it could have been that whatever the case was, circumstances led to me making that decision. But if you ask me on a normal occasion, yes, I would bring it back every time. So I think the study could be flawed. I think people's state of mind has to come into it.
I think it's a stretch for it as a theory.
Yeah, I think
there's a multitude of reasons that they wouldn't do it. Not just because they are not a good person. But
I think it's a good indicator, though, Bruno.
It definitely gives you probably a high level, but you need to look.
But they might think. Why. Here's the other thing: you could take it to the other end. You say, like, look, if everybody brings their fucking cart back, that's a job that somebody with disabilities won't have. You know what I mean? Because somebody who would not necessarily would not be able to do certain types of jobs because of whatever disability they might have. They would be able to do that job rounding up the carts, and they're getting employment out of it.
So you're saying it's actually good for people with intellectual and physical disabilities?
It creates a market and a job for somebody who would otherwise not have one.
Yeah, but is that like what? And I'll be honest with you,
ridiculous, Bruno.
That's
saying nuclear cleanup is great. You know, by dropping a nuclear bomb, or Chernobyl is great because it created jobs for people to clean up.
Chernobyl's great.
The environment.
Chernobyl's great. Chernobyl's great because it got people out of the area. Chernobyl's great because it got people out of the area and gave it back to the world, and it's now a lovely animal sanctuary.
Humans still can't enter Chernobyl, I think. Is that right?
They can't for long periods of time.
Yeah,
not for long periods of time.
I think we're going off on a tangent there. I think what Bruno was saying is
as opposed to the last 2.5 hours.
No, but he's right in saying that,
they're justifying it for reality, not a bad reason, but for a good reason.
In reality, a lot of people with intellectual or physical disabilities would do that type of job, right? But we're also doing a massive disservice to people who don't have intellectual disabilities. Like, we could have listeners here that literally that is their job, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, and they're going, "You shower shites." Like, I'm very conscious of that, and I don't want to be like tarring every person who sorts out shopping trolleys.
Plus, I don't think
with that.
Bruno's point can be justified in that he's saying that the people that leave their trolleys out there in the middle of nowhere are doing it as a social service to create employment.
But at the same time, he does touch on a point that I want to raise, and I was going to get to in a moment. So it's interesting.
I don't think he gets the point.
This person who conducted the study said, and this will probably make your answer very simple. A person who is unable to do this is no better than an animal, an absolute savage who can only be made to do what is right by threatening them with law and the force that stands behind it. Now, that's an extreme sentence, isn't it?
If you'd asked me that 20 years ago, I would have said yes. But as I get older, I think I kind of agree with that guy.
You can't say that because you don't bring your trolley back that you're an animal and a savage.
It's a real indicator. I mean, not everyone goes out and commits mass murder, and yet at the same time, you need to create a standard in society. I find as I'm getting older, maybe I'm getting more right wing, but I can empathize with what that guy's conclusions are. Genuinely,
yeah. We'd like to welcome RCS Glenn to the show. Thanks for joining us. I just don't know. I think it's a little bit much to say that you're a savage. You could just be having a bad day, and it could be just a case that it's a glitch rather than you're definitely an animal. I think it's a little bit too much.
It doesn't relate whatsoever. That person might have left that trolley there, for example, because they've spent like 18 hours working as a junior doctor, and they just didn't have the energy to bring it back, and they said, I just can't be doing it.
Okay, but what is the percentage of people who do? I mean, this is the kind of logic that says,
that's what I'm saying.
Hitler suffered abuse when he was a child. I mean, it's.
I'd
agree with the finder of that survey who's taken a stance, and he said, look, we have to judge these people that leave the trolleys out here, and
you don't have to judge people. Judging people, does that not make him an asshole?
He's an asshole who I might agree with, though. At some point, you have to take a stand and say, what does this show us about people? What does this behavior that these people do show us about them? What does it tell me about them? And he's coming up with a controversial study, and that's why Goldie's talking about it, because he knows it's controversial. But it's not controversial.
What it is he's taken a very small, insignificant piece of society, and he's comparing it to something that, whilst you there's things that make you a savage in the world, and honestly, that's a very, very thin. It's a
small things that reveal you, Bruno. The devil is in the detail. I mean, none of us go out and none of us go out and exterminate an entire race. None of us go out and murder loads of people. So when you're trying to get the understanding of a single human being or of a type of human being, you have to judge it on their daily actions. If we knew a camera was on us, we'd behave.
I only shop once a week, so that's a weekly action.
So a weekly action, but still it would reveal something
daily,
about you.
But how I live
let's take a daily action.
The week is more reflective.
Do you flush the toilet? Do you not flush the toilet for the person who's coming after you? That reveals something about you.
Let it mellow. That's just water conservation.
If you're live on air, you don't flush the toilet.
Exactly, but no, if it's yellow, we've heard that expression.
What we found is that it's not. It's one is not indicative of the other.
I think, Bruno, the small things you do in this life reveal who you are.
I think, Charlie, you're right. It's the little things and how we act determines.
That's what people think small. That's what people think small would say.
I'll absolutely agree with that, but at the same time, there has to be context. And while it might be worthwhile doing the study and saying, right, well, the people that don't put their trolley back, that's a percentage of people who may have an issue. Right, I'll accept that, but to say that they're savages is too much. The issue could literally just be it's a bad day. You might find that 100% of those people turn out to be murderers or whatever, okay? And none of the people who put their trolley back are murderers. You might find something like that, but there'd still be a massive percentage of people who just had a bad day, and they're not putting the trolley back because they're bad people. Does that make sense? to anybody.
But I don't see. I don't see, like, I mean, yeah, it's a bit inconvenient, but I don't see how it relates to savagery, because what is savagery? It's something on a higher level. Is the amount of actual savages involved in are the I don't think you can actually quantifiably link a higher percentage of savages that leave the thing there or whether they don't and put it back. There's no correlating data that says that amount, the people who done that are more likely to be a savage than the people who didn't.
Yeah.
You might say that people think it's savage to do it, or not savage, or whatever it may be, but there's
I
no
think
link. Pardon?
I definitely think it's an extreme.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
No, it is. It's definitely something that just shows our psyche. And what I wanted to try to get to is the article does go on to say, Charlie, that
when you're trying
that it does provide employment, that people have to bring the trolley back, and I think that is a valid argument. And I'll tell you something, and this is very similar to that situation. While I will always make a conscious effort to bring the trolley back, I will always similarly make a conscious effort in a fast food restaurant not to put my tray back. Now, that's the opposite. So, when you're in, say, a McDonald's or a Burger King or some of these places, and you sit at a table and you have your meal, I will most of the time leave it there and not bring it to the bin. And people will probably think I'm an asshole for doing that.
But you're trying to...
But the reality is I'm doing it for two reasons. I do it, right? Firstly, and the main one is selfish, because everything we do is a little bit selfish, let's be honest, is I don't want to sit at a dirty table. When I go into a fast food restaurant, I want to be able to sit at a table that is clean, okay? Or at least, let's be honest, how clean are they in reality? But I want to sit at one that has been wiped, at least, and not sit there with fucking sauce on it and fucking bits of chips and crumbs and whatever else. If I put my tray into the bin, the person cleaning is not going to probably notice that table needs cleaning first. And then the second reason, obviously, is because it does provide a job. So that's my feeling on it, and it's completely opposite to the trolley. I don't know what you do with your guys do with your tray, and it's funny because Diva has
never been in a fast food restaurant.
That wouldn't actually surprise me, Charlie. But do you get the comparison I'm making, and do you agree or do you not?
No, I get what you're saying. I totally disagree with Bruno on creating jobs, but yeah, I get what you were saying in that specific instance. I just think, like, Bruno's talking about special needs people getting the job.
It's the same logic.
But presumably presumably Tesco realize everyone is just leaving their trolley all over the place. We're going to hire someone.
What you're doing is what you could realize here, or what you should realize here, is that maybe this is a corporate giant who's trying to cut corners and trying to save a buck as much as absolutely possible by vilifying the people that are actually costing the money.
So you think it's some kind of reverse psychology here?
Right. What psychology is, what people are putting into your brain. And the truth is that if they can save, if everybody brings who's the main benefactor of everybody bringing back their trolley here? It's not the people who wouldn't otherwise be employed, or it wouldn't be the people who have to bring it back. They don't gain anything by having to bring it back, right? Realistically, it's very small. But what actually happens is, if you make it socially unacceptable to actually bring a trolley back, right, by playing this trick and saying, like, oh, you're just monsters, right? The people who are benefiting from that are the people who would otherwise have to pay for them to be brought back by employing somebody to do so.
A very good point.
That's the people who make the money.
Yeah, and you're talking about this being a massive, almost conspiracy, that it's actually the people who are hiring this research to be done is actually the supermarkets, because they want to put that out there. It's out there. It's like conspiracy theory stuff, but it's definitely, the beauty about conspiracy theories is it's possible, Just to look at RCS, Glenn here made a comment. They say, I don't know if you're male, female, or anything else, identifies anything else, Glenn, but you say, I work in the food industry. I always take my tray back or stack the dishes nicely so it is easier for the staff. And I fully accept that. I know, for example, I've never done it. Well, I kind of have, I suppose, in a way. But I know from, if you're cleaning up tables or you're waiting tables or whatever it is, and you're walking through a cafe and you see somebody get up and not put their tray back, as the cleaner, you're thinking, fucking asshole, you're after giving me more work to do. I fully understand that. But at the same time, Glenn, if you brought it back every time, the staff that you're trying to be nice to just simply wouldn't exist. Do you get me?
Exactly.
Do
The ironic thing with it is it angers you, but without somebody doing it, you don't have a job.
Yeah, exactly. And
If
Glenn
you
goes
take
on
that
to say
logic, then if all parents taught their kids how to read and write and spell, then primary school teachers would have no job.
Well, there's different levels of education.
Not everybody was capable who had children were capable of reading and writing.
Not everyone is capable of bringing back their shopping trolley.
Glenn says that in Canada.
Exactly. So does that make them savages?
That might be
They're not capable
are
of
we
bringing
having a
it back.
problem with the word though? Maybe because the word sounds harsh, but the idea behind the guy's reasoning, I get.
I think you need to move on, folks, a little bit from the whole savage thing.
Yeah,
okay?
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, no, we've kind of moved on along the same line. Glenn has either from Canada, has been to Canada, or knows about Canada, says that they have a $1 deposit, which you get back when you bring it back. That's fair enough, but you're also, is that not the company saying, well, listen, we do have the cleaner here that if you don't, but we're trying to encourage you to bring it back. We're trying to say, bring it back so we can sack this cleaner who, is
who truly benefits from the change in opinion on the thing happening? Who benefits from not everybody bringing the tray back and cleaning up the table after themselves? Who benefits from the trolleys going back? It's the multinationals, and it's the employer. The employer. No, we don't. I don't benefit from it. If I'm sitting three tables down, I don't care.
Table in a take.
But you're not though, because like it's already been pointed out.
You're not benefiting because if you bring it back, the table's not going to get wiped. You're sitting at a dirty table. Glenn goes on to say that they work in the food industry. The customers who have good etiquette and make things easier for staff get better treatment, and they're in Canada. So you can see that. Yeah, of course, I can understand that. And
but that's because...
Welcome, Dorcas. Yeah, you're going to be sitting at a dirty table. That's the reality, isn't it? If you bring it back, you're more likely to sit at a dirty table.
I will say this.
Well, not you, the person who comes after you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you're an absolute asshole to them. So the people who bring back your tray are the assholes here.
Yes, I think so.
Very,
and I think
because they're disadvantaging the people after.
I think it's right.
And again, you're putting
the person in the job. You're giving the person the job of doing that. And
the person who doesn't bring the tray back creates employment and then provides a better table for the person who follows. And here's the thing: everybody who was we've a number of incidents now of people with trolleys, right? The people who can't bring it back because of some sort of physical disability, they can't, they have to get into the car or whatever, and they can't bring the trolley back. They're disabled. Being disabled doesn't make them savages. And you know what I mean? So the people who think they're doing good, the people who genuinely think they're doing good by not bringing it back and creating employment, they, in turn, and then you have the doctor who's worked 18, 20 hours, the junior doctor who's getting paid nothing, who's that? He's not bringing it back because he's just jaded and he has no.
I'm happy enough with that.
I think that it's a very weak link.
Okay, we're actually our show is going to come off air there, folks. We're actually over time. We're over 3 hours. So what we'll do is we'll come back on live just to finish up in another segment. Glenn, as far who's better for, in the end, it benefits the customer, maybe less so on fast food. However, when you're in a sit-down restaurant, the longer it takes the staff to get the table ready, it means you got to wait longer. Yes, obviously, that doesn't affect the staff, but karma is a bitch. It's interesting, definitely an interesting thing. we are over time, folks. We will come back. Will you both come back in now in a moment, and we'll finish it up?
Very quickly, yeah.
Charlie,
He's gone.
we'll come back here now in a moment.